we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. Thanks for tuning in. If it's your first time listening, you can always check us out on the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter at the Bigmark Podcast, at the Bigmark Pod. You can support the podcast at our Patreon at patreon.com/the Bigmark Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff so you know when we get all these great videos. You know, it's been a while since I've had a guest in here. You know, I've done a lot of these solo ones and always talked about having more people in. And, you know, this is kind of a long time coming. And I'm super pumped to have Jeremy Kyei on with us. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely welcome. How are you?
It's great, man. This is really cool. I'm very, very excited to be here.
Awesome.
I know we've discussed about, or I've asked you to take part in
100%
Bigmark, so happy to be here on the Bigmark.
It's great. You know what I mean? You know, it's we were kind of saying before, it's like, as I was doing all these solo ones, you know, I was really looking forward to having a guest on, but I was kind of like, with all the COVID stuff, I guess, mostly happening, it wasn't necessarily that I was worried about having people over. Yeah. It was more like, I was worried about asking people and then maybe not wanting to and being like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you trying to do this? Yeah. Like, even when our producer, shout out Christian, was around, you know, it was always kind of like making sure he's okay. And then he was worried about some people in his house having issues sometimes.
Everyone has to be comfortable. COVID was so controversial and everyone was on their toes about comfort and no one really knew where people stood. Sure. I know that, like, I was pretty comfortable with my circle because I knew that they were behaving responsibly. Good. So even though it may have been at times taboo to be seeing them, or I know I definitely had interactions with friends, right? But I also knew that they were being safe in their own circles, and I knew I wasn't seeing a ton of people. So sure. You know, when it made sense, I would take part. But
and that's what you got to do. And I mean, you know, especially at this point, you know, we were kind of saying before, it's like, I feel like we're gonna kind of look back on this time and not like, and be like, what were we doing? Yeah. Like, not only like our generation, but like generations like after us, just looking back in history. And I mean, I guess we can look, like, the only other time this kind of happened was like the Spanish flu. Yeah. And it was like, I guess we look back on that in a relatively fond way, or not in a fond way, but in a positive way, where it's like, I guess they did enough to keep us going.
Exactly. They saw it through to the other side.
But here it's like, I guess we're seeing it to the other side, but it's been a long grind.
Yeah, I think the grind, I think we're still right in the middle of it. They're talking about a fourth wave now. Sure. So it'll be interesting to you know, take part in life when COVID's not a forethought or even an afterthought. Sure. But I think every conversation, no matter like what area you're talking in, COVID affects it somehow. So I am looking forward to the day that we're not talking about COVID, and you know, it's not even, doesn't matter to mention it at all. Sure. So, sure.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I mean, so for everyone listening, Jer's a police officer. Yep. And you know, I mean, you guys were out there on the front lines for sure. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I feel like if anyone, you've been seeing this since like day one, right away, having to deal with it. Definitely. Like, as far as like getting vaxxed and stuff, were there other police officers kind of against it, or was it just like, we got to do what we got to do?
Yeah, we're definitely not a monolith. There's some people that I learned that, you know, they're not, they don't have the vaccine. They don't want to get the vaccine. They have their own reasons for it. Right. And initially, I kind of did think that we were a monolith. I thought, like, so I have the vaccine. I have both of them. Shout out the Vax Gang.
Yeah, double Vax Gang.
Double
what
Vax
up?
Gang. Yep. I really did think that was the mindset. Like, you know, we're on the front lines. We know the places that we go into, who we interact with. It's everyone in the community, right? Right. So for me, it's a safety thing. I was very worried about getting COVID. Interestingly enough, you know, being in all these different communities, never got it. So thank God for that. But I wanted to, you know, mitigate that risk as much as possible. Right. And I'd assumed that everyone was like that, but I think it's an unfair assumption, because there are still other ways to keep yourself safe. Sure. And that's sometimes the things that the people that do have the vaccine do forget that, yeah, the vaccine, I think, is the ultimate quote unquote protection, but you know, what were we doing for those months when we didn't have the vaccine? You're protecting yourselves other ways. And I feel like if you're not going to get the vaccine, that's the approach you should take. And I think that's the approach that people did take. That's especially that I saw that I worked with.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, again, you know, I feel like in most scenarios, you hope that you're all together as a team too, like you mentioned too. And yeah, everyone's going to have their own reasons. And, you know, we talked about choices, right? Where it's like, you know, you're free to make whatever choice, but you're also free to suffer whatever consequence too, 100%. Right? And it's tough. I think it's always been tough not to go crazy into this because there's so much more we're going to talk about, but it's just like, I find that this is where that weird line between like reality and politics exists. Yeah. Where they don't quite line up because yeah, we don't necessarily want to like infringe and force people to do something that they don't want to do. But if we don't, how many people are going to get hurt? Right. We talk about all this stuff. Like if we don't do that, then what's actually going to happen? Exactly. Because that many more deaths, that many more things. Like my biggest thing, like, you know, I didn't even really like the flu shot, to be honest. Like my mom was a nurse for like 35 years and she rarely ever got it just because her biggest thing, and I totally agree with it, is the fact that it's like not really researched well enough because they have to put it out so quick. Yeah. And with the flu especially, it was a different kind of vaccine than we got for COVID, but they were basically anticipating what the flu was going to be, and then that's what they would give you, right? Yeah. And sometimes they were wrong. Yeah. And then again, who knows with like extended side effects. Yeah.
It was always a guess based off of Australia, I'm pretty sure, or the Southern Hemisphere, because their flu season happens, I think, 6 months ahead of ours. So
100%.
Our flu shot was based off
theirs, 100%.
My guess, I don't know.
No, that's so true. 100% was they would definitely take some of that data, and then again, it was because the flu usually mutates in like a fairly predictable way. Yeah, they were mostly successful, but again, you know, the one like not too long ago, but probably like five to 10 years ago, they got it wrong, and like the flu shot was just useless for that year. But like I think again, like my biggest thing was just like I'm not going to be able to do things, or there might even be like a question where it might be difficult to do things. Yeah, I'm just going to get the shots. Yeah, I mean, young, relatively healthy.
Again, it's the ultimate protection. Like. Yeah. We know the consequences of getting COVID. We see it in terms of ICUs being full and all of that. And shout out to the hospital workers.
Absolutely, no doubt.
They're grinding like crazy. Yeah. But I think some of the reluctancy that I'd hear a lot of people say is like, I want to research it, or, you know, I'm not comfortable. And I get that. I understand not being comfortable. Sure. I didn't jump at that vaccine when it first came out. I was skeptical too. Sure. But when I hear people say like I'm doing my own research, it's like, what does that mean? Like, what research are you actually doing? Are you gonna
Where's it coming from?
Exactly. And even if you are gonna do this research, why not just trust the scientists and the people that are put in place that are doing this research, that are actually gonna do research? Like, think about the last 10 things you ate. Do you really know what's inside of that? Seriously. And then if you take it to a more extreme level, think about the even drinking and using drugs. Like, think about those things that people do recreationally. Absolutely. Do you ever think about what you're putting in your body?
Even like prescription drugs too.
100%. Yeah, prescription drugs. All that. Your nose is running for a couple of days, pre-COVID, of course, context. Yeah. And your body's sore. You go to your doctor. Your doctor says, "Hey, take this for 2 weeks. You'll feel great." Yeah. You go to Shoppers and you give the guy the script. Straight up. 20 minutes later, you get a bunch of pills. Yep. And it says, follow the instructions, take one at dinner or take one at meals, whatever the instructions are, and you feel better. We have never, and maybe this is a broad statement, but I don't think there's been a point where we've questioned what the scientists and the doctors are saying like this.
Sure.
But I get it. COVID it's polarizing. Like everyone, it's scary. People are dying. Some people think it's all conspiracy and it's a hoax. Right. But it's something so global. Like, I don't know how people refute it at this point, but
and so many people have been affected so differently. There are people out there that their lives haven't really changed at all, and they're more apt to make some of these statements, I feel too, right? You know what? There's it's just revealed how different, you know, we can be in certain places, right?
100%.
Where I think it really kind of shook out into like just like three kind of like split. Like if you're gonna split the community down like three ways, where there was like people who like really followed the rules super hard, like even went overboard. Some people where they're kind of like, all right, I'm going to follow the rules, but like here and there, I'm going to kind of bend them or whatever, break them here and there. And then there's some people like, this is fake. This doesn't even exist. And it was like literally thirds. Like it was a good chunk of people who were like really, really against everything. And again, that's where that blurred line between reality and politics comes in, where yes, we're starting to have to question or like kind of refocus how we see how like rights are concerned in that sense, because it's a global emergency. It's not just like they're coming at it with this for no reason. We had no idea what this was when it first hit us. Right? Like maybe you can question how they've up until today. Maybe there's a little bit more question about, you know, still being in heavy lockdown. Like there's lots of countries that are like wide open and it is what it is. But I think at the end of the day, when we first started this whole thing with flattening the curve, it was just going to extend things. And we're just living that reality now.
It was slowing the curve, but that exponential rate was still going to happen at some point.
It just was going to, it wasn't going to be so high, but it was going to be wide. Right?
Exactly.
So that is what we're experiencing. And, you know, it's still 2021. Like it sucks, but it's not like we're hard into 2022 yet. Which again might be another thing. And I think maybe,
the fifth wave.
I don't know if it's, maybe it's like a little bit of an athlete thing in us too, where I was like, whatever, just like give me what I need to keep going.
Exactly.
Right. Which was like,
whatever
for a lot of our lives, I feel like what the decisions were. Right. And, you know, you mentioned that thing with fellow police officers. It's like, you kind of just expect that there's going to be a team atmosphere, because when we used to join teams, there was a team atmosphere.
There's the buy-in, you know, whatever the ultimate goal for everybody. That's all that mattered. If there's sacrifice, that's all sports was. A lot,
especially
of sacrifice.
Football.
So
again, everyone listening, Jared played football at McMaster. How many years did you play?
I played 5 years. I was in there for 1 year, but
when did you start?
In 2012 to 2016.
Unreal. One Vanier.
I played in two. We lost both of them, unfortunately. They won the year before against Laval and BC. Best game ever.
Yes, true. So true.
So I think that was the kicker that got me to commit there. But had a great experience. Played. Playing was a lot of fun.
Unreal.
Shout out to the Marauders.
But again, you know, we go back and say, like, you know, how sacrifice, right? Football, essentially the ultimate game of sacrifice. Like, how many of our fellow teammates went down every game with the same thing? Or having like, you know, by the end of my third year, when I was playing Beefs, they were basically like taping my shoulder on. Or it would have just like flew off. Like I was like Dunsky. And that was like a progressive injury. Like I actually heard it in high school. And then by the end of it was only 3 years too. And it's like, you know, benching and my injuries at the back of my shoulder. So all O-line, it was just like trying to come out the back all the time. So, like, and that wasn't even nearly as bad of an injury as some of my other buddies.
Oh man, the injuries that I saw, one of my teammates, Easy Mboko, he's a returner. I remember, I believe it was at York at Mac. He caught the punt, was taking it back, and I just remember he went down, he gets up, he runs right to the sideline. I was going to like celebrate with him because it was a good return, and then I just see this bone sticking out of his elbow. I think he dislocated his elbow.
Like, through the skin?
No, not through the skin. So thank God for that. But even just seeing like your flesh like protruding, how it shouldn't. Like I remember like getting close to him, like about to hop on and, you know, celebrate, and then just being like, oh, and like I couldn't even look at it. And
dislocating elbows worse too. Like my fellow teammate, shout out Sean Jameson, I actually saw him in the Owls Ticats game. He hurt his knee in this game too. I'm sorry to bring up another injury, Sean. But
he's playing?
He's playing in the CFL right now for Montreal Alouettes. He's their center. A really nice guy out from Winnipeg, but he, unfortunately, in the game I went to, he hurt his knee. But he dislocated his elbow in first year.
Damn.
And man, like it's like one of the most painful injuries, right? Because you just have so many nerves running through there, right? And they just pinch, and it's just brutal.
I can't imagine it.
He was in so much pain, man. We all felt so bad. Like it was, but again, like nature of the sport, right? Like
the sport is controlled chaos. It's violent. Before we move topics, shout out Mike Daly with the Tiger Cats.
Shout out.
I had to give that one. But yeah, it's that's how it was explained to me when I started playing football. It is controlled chaos. It's controlled violence. You can do whatever within the confines of this line of the gridiron, right? And between the whistles. Right. And like, when you're in the trenches and you're battling, you're fighting for every inch you can get to. And
what position do you play?
I was a defensive back. Then as the years went by, it came in linebacker, pseudo, but special teams master.
Too many bergs and had to move into
first year
in the box.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Freshman 15.
But I know, man. I was like, I think it's an O-lineman thing, but we're some of the only people who like would gain weight during training camp.
Yeah, because you guys are just snapping.
Oh, bro, forget it. Well, we kind of come in healthy too because we work hard.
Of course,
forget it. I came in light in the ass one year and I had to fucking eat my way up. Like I was like 300 and I felt like I was getting pushed around and I got back up to fighting weight. But
I remember one of my teammates, I don't know who, I don't know if I'm even going to tell the story properly, but one of our coaches wanted him to gain weight. So he told him like, eat peanut butter like every night, like take scoops of it and just be eating peanut butter every night.
Oh my God.
And I believe he did that and he gained weight. I don't know if that helped his playing opportunities, but like I remember like hearing that and
oh my gosh.
I think that sounds disgusting, but if you like peanut butter and taking a scoop of it, like I don't know how people eat like Nutella. Like
sure.
That's not for me. Right. I don't know. Do you like eating scoops of Nutella?
I'm not a big Nutella guy to even start with, but definitely like scoops out the jar. No way.
Yeah, no.
Not even peanut butter even.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I'm not a big peanut butter guy when I think about it. I don't know why.
Funny enough,
I'll eat peanut butter and jelly all day.
I had a PB&J last night. Nice. I don't know the last time I had it. I just got off night shift, so I was up till like 3 a.m. I was like, crap, I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat something crap, so I just saw we had bread. I was just like, let me make a PB&J.
Unreal.
Hit the spot. I tell you that I definitely hit the spot, but
nothing beats it really.
Yeah.
It's classic. Funny. I was listening, or I've been following this like Instagram account, and she's a nutritionist that like specializes in like blood glucose levels.
Okay.
So like basically pre-diabetic stuff, diabetic people, and really everyone should be monitoring their blood glucose, right? Because blood sugar, which too much of it can really hurt you, can give you diabetes, can do a lot of bad stuff. Too little of it's another story, but she talks about like how a lot of like traditionally paired foods, like culturally, historically, whatever, tend to actually affect that glucose spike.
Okay.
So like, for instance, white rice has a crazy glucose spike. So like, just like it's usually like shown in a chart, and like from ingestion, it spikes, and then it's like a dose curve, like anything, but it's with food. And if you do rice and beans, it's almost flat.
Okay.
So again, the spike is like the amount of blood glucose you have after ingestion. So it's like the amount of sugar that's going to be in your system, and then how much insulin is going to have to respond to that. Yeah. So, but if you eat rice and beans, it's like almost flat.
So like the beans counteract the glucose?
Yes. Somehow the starch it allows your body to digest that in a slower way, I think is what it is. Yeah. I think it, again, flattening the curve, I think it just kind of like slows the digestion, which is
got you. So you still get that glucose,
but you don't get like a dump of it.
Spike. Yeah. Okay.
And like then there was like other cantaloupe melon and prosciutto, like an Italian thing. Okay. You eat those together and it really drops it.
Wait, what's the other thing?
The like prosciutto.
Oh, prosciutto. Yeah.
It like because I guess whatever the salt content or whatever's in the meat really helps with that. Obviously, huge spike from fruit. Yeah. Right. Because again, that's the problem is that like you can eat a lot of fruit, but like it still has sugar in it, right? Yeah. Honey actually has a crazy glucose spike.
I'm not surprised by that. Yeah.
And then white rice is actually better than brown rice with glucose levels.
In terms of glucose. But I guess in the overall health sense, they always recommend brown because it's...
But that made me think, like, I wonder what PB&J is like.
Oh yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying.
Well, like
maybe that helps. It's not so sugary because of the peanut butter or something, and that actually helps.
The bread might,
because you know how we like sweet and salty.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's why we have that in our body. Because like we all crave fat and sugar, right? Like that's because at a lot of times in human history that was not abundant. That's some of the hardest shit to find in nature is fat and sugar.
Yeah.
But now we live in a world where it's abundant.
Oh my God, overly abundant.
Right.
At least we're not living in the States.
Like I always, yeah, no doubt. I mean, you even look at like my parents just moved to Germany actually.
Okay.
And you look at like even in Europe compared to us, like in Canada, what we have is like really bad, but what we have compared to the States is like almost like twice as healthy.
Yeah.
The dyes and like crazy stuff that is like illegal here, they rip it down there.
Oh yeah, even the sizes are almost comical. The fact that their drinks come in plastic cups so they don't like wear through. Oh my God, that's insane to me.
Is that why?
Again, all word of
so
mouth.
Much.
That's what I've heard. Like it's just so much volume that you know, like if you have a drink long enough, those paper cups, that bottom,
that's
like,
true.
It starts to get soft and
makes sense. And the weight
of it, yeah, exactly. So,
oh my gosh, I never thought of that.
And yeah, if it saves them a trip from getting a refill, it's like why not put two of these in one? And
no doubt.
Then
double big gulp.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, I bet like what we consider a double big gulp is just like a large,
small.
yeah, small,
dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, for real though.
Yeah.
I remember I went down to a combine in Cleveland and we were like, all right, like let's go out for like a light breakfast.
Yeah.
Like let's not go wild. There's no such thing as a light breakfast. Number one.
No.
And we go to like a Perkins or something.
Okay.
And I'm looking on the menu and there's just like, 20 pancakes or whatever it is, like all this craziness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, just give me an omelet. Omelet should be fine, right?
Reasonable.
Whatever, it's scrambled eggs.
Maybe.
And,
yeah.
It's basically just scrambled eggs. And then I was like, okay, cool, get the omelet. And then like, what do you want on the side? Pancakes, something else.
Yeah.
Or a muffin.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, give me the muffin because like whatever.
Healthy, whatever.
The fucking omelet that comes must have been 8 to 12 eggs. Like it was the whole thing of eggs. I swear.
Just like
it was like a burrito. It looked like a huge burrito actually because they just rolled it on a bed of hash browns. The whole plate was hash browns with the thing on top.
Did you know you were getting the hash browns?
No, they're just like that's just on the plate already.
That's already there.
It's just already on the plate. And then the muffin that came was like this big.
Not a
and
muffin.
The wrapper you could have covered your pool in, bro. Yeah. It was huge. It was
like a mini cake.
It was giant, and it was pure cake. It wasn't even like it's not like a brand muffin.
No.
It's like double chocolate, whatever.
Oh, delicious! I bet.
And of course you have to eat it.
Yeah.
You have to eat all of it. And I was just so slow, bro. Like every scout was probably like, this guy
light
is
breakfast, man.
Brute. And like there was like 5 of us from Canada that went down, and we were all just slow in the ass.
That's a light breakfast for you. Man.
Yeah, all those guys are used to it down there.
So my cousin, I don't think he'll mind me sharing this, but he was a track athlete here in Hamilton. He was a great athlete. He ended up running track, getting a scholarship to go to the States. Got an injury while he was down there in one of his later years. And I remember when he came home, he's like, I think about like, he's like 8 to 10 years older than me. Sorry, Joe. I'm not sure. But like he gained a ton of weight like while being down there, and just from getting injured while being in the States, and he ended up pursuing more education down there, so extended his time down there.
Whoa.
And I remember like even when he came back, didn't even like recognize him initially. I was around him when I was really young, so in case your perception of people always changes,
of course.
But yeah, he got really big. He's good now. He's been busting his ass to get back into shape, and I miss playing football with him. But yeah, just like living in the States for so long, you take a high performing athlete and you change their environment, you take the sports away, and then you give them copious amounts of like unhealthy food and
calories.
Exactly. And super easy accessible. Like I obviously Uber Eats and all those other services weren't a thing while he was there, but
thank God, man, if I had access to that in school.
Like everything was still so close. But if I had access to that with OSAP money, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Done. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just no bueno, man. Like just not good at all. So
I killed a large meal plan real early in first year. I couldn't imagine if I had access to Uber Eats.
Yeah, we had this lady that took care of us in the calf.
Unreal.
I'm not gonna say her name. I don't want to get her in any
My
trouble.
aunt used to, my grandma and my aunt, her daughter used to be those ladies.
Yeah.
That would help out, give a little extra here and there.
Oh, buddy, you know what?
My aunt almost got booted because she would always give extra to the football players because my cousin was on the team too, so she knew all the guys.
Where did she do this at?
One of the res.
At Mac?
At Mac.
Oh, man.
This is years ago.
Okay, because like it wasn't between 2012 and 2016.
No.
Okay.
But she was one of those women.
Because
line of
because we did have a lady like that, and I heard she got booted. I pray she didn't, because like
they always, that's it. They've been giving them fucking grief for time.
I know, and all they do, they just see hungry football players. Like honestly,
100%.
People get mad because there are a lot of concessions that we do get. Yes, understandably, but like at the end of the day, like we still have the same meal plans, and like we're hungry too. On top of like being athletes, and the other team does take care of us. We did get meals, but it's not like we had every single meal taken care of, right?
Right.
So this lady, I remember my card declined or something, and she's like, "Don't worry about it." She's like, "Actually, go back and get dinner." So you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And then after, like, that just became like routine. Like I topped up my card, and then I'd see her. Some other teammates became privy to that information, and then she was just taking care of like a small segment. I'm sure it got bigger because you know how nobody wants to be paying for stuff. Word of mouth travels, but
of course. Yeah,
without her, like I would have had some really hungry nights in first year. So she knows who she is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shout out to all those calf ladies.
Shout out to the calf ladies that really care.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But like again, you know, you got to eat when you're playing, right? And then all of a sudden you take that away, and you're still used to eating that way.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I mean, I guess it goes for every sport, because I did meet a guy when I was personal training who I was like, "So where'd you play football?" And he was like, "I played basketball, bro." And I was like, because he was probably like 6'5", but had a gut, like just looked like an old lineman. 100% looked like an old lineman. He was like, "I played basketball." And I was like, "Shit." But basically, any sport, you can kind of go either way. Yeah. Right? You know, there's some guys that struggle to keep weight, and there's some guys that it's hard for them to stay down. Yeah. And, you know, it's funny, like one of our old linemen, like senior guys that used to come back and like visit, he was our center, and you would never have guessed, if you see him today, you would never have guessed that he shout out Andy Rady. Never guessed that he would have been an old lineman. Yeah. We had a defensive lineman, Tanvir Bangu. Oh yeah, I remember playing against him. Yeah, Gooey. That was his nickname. The Bangu, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, we were scared of that guy. Yeah, he was serious. Your whole front seven, man, was like tremendous. I was gonna say all those boys. Shout out, because it was tremendous. Like around my show, I played Hurricanes with him. Yeah. And it was insane. Anyway, I went to high school with him. Shout out SGB Braves. Yes, Burbuff. Yes. Yeah, and shout out Burbuff. Shout out Spence. I played basketball with Spence. Blessed. We shout out Spence. He's playing in Saskatchewan still. Oh, I don't know where he is. Forgive me, brother. I forget where you are. I think he's in the NFL now. No. He's in the CFL. Okay. I'm not sure where he's at. I know he just had a kid. Athlete, man. Oh my god. I had to hold him back a couple times. Yeah, he was underutilized at Mac. When we would like shake hands at the end of, it was a liability. Yeah. I had to pull him away a couple times. Yeah. Because he was a fucking competitive dude, man. Yeah, it was great. He had that drive, and I was just saying he was underutilized at Mac. I think he had. That's too bad. Yeah, I think he should have got like touches and playing time earlier. He was a big body. He was like 6'6", massive. Like I remember was he tight end? He was a tight end, like a slot. We didn't really play a tight end, so he was like our M back. I want tight end, man. I feel like if I got to coach a team, I'd try to put a tight end. Yeah, I think tight end makes the offense that much more versatile. But I remember my first year, I was playing strong half, and we were doing just like one-on-one drills. Oh shit! And like he just bulldozed me like 3 times like in a row, and you know that sounds about right. But that's the vet. You know, we went to the same high school. I think we didn't play together, but like you know I'm gonna make sure you're ready. Like you know what I mean. Like this is what it takes. And welcome to the next level. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the next level. Like you need to buck up. 100%. And shout out to him, because I remember after that I was just like, I'm never letting anybody like run through me like that again. Yeah. And you know, good. But I played with a lot of good guys. Another buff guy, Joey Capito. Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember Joe. Yeah. So. Yeah, we had a lot of people. I was at St. Mary's, but I didn't play grade 12. Yeah, Mary's was shit, as you know. You played all your years at Buff, right? Not grade 10, but everything else, yeah. But like you graduated, yeah. Mary's was garbage. Like we won. Funny enough, we actually beat Buff when I was in grade 9. Oh yeah. And that was the only game St. Mary's won for years and years, man. Like, I was still at Western, and I don't think they had won junior or senior.
Well, even when I was, like, I played and went on to university, I think near the end of my time at Mac, they, like, finally won a game.
Seriously. So it was, like, that bad. Like, a terrible, that's, like, brutal, right? So I didn't want anything to do with that, even when I was in school. So I played Hamilton Hurricanes, and that's where I played with Aram.
Gotcha.
And Mike DeCroce.
Yep, DeCroce. Yeah.
Unreal.
One of the best receivers I ever played with.
Man, that guy could jump, eh?
Like, he was just huge. He was fast and just played with an edge. Like,
smart.
DeCroce.
I mean, smart player. He wasn't necessarily smart in school.
I don't know what his academics were like. I'm not going to speak on that.
I think he's a teacher now, though.
Is he a
so God
teacher?
bless him. I ran into him when I was delivering beer. When I was still delivering beer for the brewery.
Yeah.
His house, I guess, is where his mom was at. She ordered beer and he was there. Yeah. And I was like, yo, Mike, we got talking for a bit. But
I can see him as a teacher. But
I think that's what he's doing. I can't remember, but God bless him.
Yeah, definitely God bless him. But as a player, like, I remember he was some of the guys that I came into McMaster with that I looked up to, and like they just had an edge to them. Like Quinlan had an edge.
He was tough.
Babick, he was one of our receivers. He had an edge.
I played with his brother at Western. I played with Marcus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know there's a whole bunch. There's like 3 of those.
And the other brothers played at Missouri.
Played basketball.
At Missouri.
He played at a couple different places. I know the last time I saw him, he was at Appalachian State.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Not Missouri. Sorry.
Yeah.
Same colors.
Yeah. I think so. It was Missouri. What's Missouri?
Aren't they like yellow and maroon?
Yellow maroon, yeah.
And so is Appalachian State.
God,
anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Babbicks.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sorry. They all had great careers, so or at least
damn straight. Yeah, Marcus is a teacher now.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's cool when you see like siblings that all go on to play like collegiate. Obviously, it's cool when you see in the pro level, but like when you have brothers that can go and play collegiate sports, that's really cool.
I played against them both in basketball too. They're all good basketball players.
Yeah,
too,
not surprising at all.
Tough as nails.
Oh man, even a lot of good football players. Like when we weren't in season, we were always at the basketball court.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Fuck, I loved that, man. That was the best.
Yeah.
Would you guys go full Burridge, like right on the main floor? Or
yeah, we joined intramural teams. Like we had a team. Nice. We won an intramural. Shout out to that team. I forget who was on it.
Thank God they let us play. Wouldn't it suck like going NCAA and not being able to do that? Like,
well, like that's crazy.
That was one of my big things. Like not to say like I was planning on going to a prep school then to so I probably would have gained some skills eventually.
Yeah.
But not that I was ever like super sick. But one of the biggest things where I was like, I don't want to go to the NCAA because they basically own your ass.
Yeah.
Like you're there the whole fucking time. Yeah. You don't really get to go home depending on where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Georgia was like tentatively looking at me like I would have been down, but that's like all the way in Atlanta. Like it's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Like that's deep, so it's like, you know what I mean, like it would have been an amazing experience, but I was like, I want to do other shit, and like they definitely don't let you play intramurals. They put knee braces on you and shit, like they're protecting their investment.
No, definitely. I never really had any serious state prospects, unfortunately.
But yeah, and like mine was very I was pushing it. It's not like people were like looking at me, but yeah, I mean, again, it's so much more. I think there's so much more to it than what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, and also the thing about being here in Canada is like the exposure just wasn't there. I think there's a ton of guys that I played at the high school level and collegiate level that should have been down in the States and even had like, you know, potential NFL opportunities. Like,
right.
There's so much talent up here, but at the same time, they have 10 times the population. So
totally,
why go up north when we can, you know, go to California, Florida, Texas, any of those places and find some great talent.
Yeah. And they actively ignore us.
Yeah. They don't need to come here.
They didn't give a shit. Like this is like obviously like 10 years ago, but even when I was trying to go down there, like we would be like the last guys to do the drill. Yeah. They'd be like, oh yeah, let the Canadians go now. And like we were holding their own. Like they put me up against like one of their, like, you know, they put everyone up against each other. It's not like I was getting blown out of the water.
Yeah.
So it's like, but they just don't care because you're from Canada.
There's, I guess, a connotation that, like, you know, we can't hang.
It's a different shit, man. Like, the one prep school is at, I literally had to explain to them how our game is different. They didn't know.
They didn't know all the rules, eh?
No, and our game is older.
Yeah.
Right? So, but admittedly, their interpretation is probably better.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah,
It's more entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
admittedly, I don't know about playing because I've never played American rules.
You know what? I really do wonder if it is more entertaining to watch. I think that like throw the CFL on Monday Night Football with that production.
Sure.
Our game is really fun to watch. It's
for sure.
As much as the NFL is a receivers league, the CFL is a receivers league. Like the field is massive, the end zones are massive,
and the game is more conducive to the pass too.
Yeah, Waggles coming down to the line like 100%. That shit needs to go. Like that's the cheapest shit ever.
But the 3 downs is fucking shitty.
Well, and I think that's where it compensates. Like you have all these things that benefit the offense, so like they need to do something to make it that much harder.
Sure.
But
of course. I agree. It fits in.
Yeah.
Like if they couldn't change, I'm not saying they should change it, but I think adding that extra down just just gives you that extra dimension.
Yeah.
Like it's another.
It keeps the drives alive too, so it gives it that much more risk. Like a 2nd and long is not that crazy, but like a 3rd and short, and then
it's
a
not
4th,
as predictable.
Exactly. Then a 4th and like 1 or less. It's just like I like what a lot of teams are doing now and going for it. Like I think analytics are showing that like if within the maybe the 40s or closer to the red zone, go for it because the ball position, all that. It's usually a good percentage that you'll get some points in one of the next few drives, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it makes the game more exciting. Like last year, I remember I don't quite exactly remember, but I remember seeing 4th downs way more and like just thinking like when I started watching football, it was never like this. They never took those chances. They just
fair enough
punted on every those.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the sad thing I find sometimes with the Canadian game is that 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6, you're like, okay,
I gotta punt it. Yeah.
Right. And you just get handcuffed a little bit more. And 2 and outs suck.
But it 2 and outs suck.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like it does put more emphasis on the special teams.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the cool thing about Canadian. I was a special teamer, so cool. I appreciated special teams. I appreciated going out there and having a lot of opportunities. Sometimes you would punt, and then after your punt returns come in like 3 plays later because a 2 and out, then a 2 and out, then a 2 and out, and you're on the field quite often, and all your opportunities to shine and do your thing. So if you're playing special teams out there, grind at it, put the effort in because it makes a difference. Definitely does.
And they see you. It's a proving ground, but it gets wild out there. Talk about injuries.
Oh yeah,
special team stuff gets wild.
Yeah, broke a finger in one game against Laurier, and I remember not wanting to take my glove off because I'm like, if I see it, that's when the pain will set in. Okay, so I'll leave the glove on.
You don't want it to be in the glove.
Yeah, I don't want it to be real. So it's just like as long as I don't see it, it's not broken while it's still in the glove.
Right.
And like every time I come off the field, I always take off my gloves. Just routine.
Sure. Okay.
That game, I did until the end of the game. Even like I remember talking to parents after the game, and my one buddy, Eric Mezzalera, shout out to him. Shout out to the whole Mez family.
Mez, yeah. I know a bunch of my boys from Burlington know him.
Yeah. So his dad is a shit brick house. He's massive. He's a solid dude.
Unreal.
And just showed me a lot of love. And I remember shaking hands with him after the game. And he always gives you a firm handshake. And I'm not gonna ever disrespect him. Like that's my dog, Jerry. Love him. So gave him the handshake, and I just remember like crying on the inside because I'm like, you're destroying my finger even more. And I remember going to the locker room talking to our trainer, and he takes off the glove, and my fingers like turned like sideways.
Ooh,
so
nice.
I had a clean like spiral fracture.
Ooh, wow.
The nail was like looking at the finger beside.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just like, that's
broken as fuck.
But like it goes to show you fortitude and what like your mind can do.
My gosh.
Because until I saw it, like it did hurt, but until like seeing it and them saying like, yeah, that's a clean like fracture. Mm-hmm. Like the more pain like set in at that point.
Yeah. For sure.
But like while I was like I got it taped up and I still played specials, I was banging people.
Unreal.
Mind you, I probably took some like Advil or we had this one day, I forget what it was called. It was like an Advil and Tylenol. It was like this was painkiller, super painkiller. Take it before games, and I took a couple of those and battle through. But maybe that's why the pain set in because it wore off. But
we used to call it the O-line cocktail. 4 Advil, 4 Tylenol.
Delicious.
Boom.
Yep.
Let's go.
That's great.
No pain, no gain. Oh, bro, my stomach was fucked in university, bro. It was guaranteed because of that.
Yeah.
And that was like per our trainer's advice. He's like, if you take enough Advil and Tylenol together, basically it's the same effects as codeine.
Yeah.
So we're like,
let me do this.
Because we're in pain as fuck.
Yeah.
And we can't smoke weed and fuck.
Yeah.
So what else do you want us to do? We're going to drink and we're going to eat fucking over-the-counter meds.
Yep. Gobble up those Advils. Yeah.
Some other guys were definitely getting more than just over-the-counter too. That's for sure.
You think so, eh?
Guaranteed. Well, my one buddy had his shoulder, like I said, my shoulder was bad, but there's guys worse. My one buddy, his shoulder would dislocate at least once every game. It was like barely in.
Yeah.
Ligaments were fucked. Cartilage was mangled.
Football.
By the end of his career, they had to saw off a piece of his scapula, his shoulder blade, and fuse it to the back of his humerus.
Yeah.
So his arm can't like externally rotate past here. It like hits bone and stops because if it would go further, that's how it would come out.
Yeah.
And he was a 3 tech.
Yeah.
So like anytime you're in that position a lot.
Yeah.
Right, trying to do whatever.
Yeah.
And it would just pop out, be like, boom. And it was like, certain times it'd be nice, right? It's slow momentum sometimes.
Exactly. We had that at Mac. We had
the old JFK.
The sniper. Yeah. Same thing. Is it? I wonder if that's the same for everyone.
Just fucking kidding.
Was yours? Oh, just fucking kidding. Yeah. Our
it was like the sniper.
Sniper. Yeah, that's what our thing was.
Yeah. Well, it's a move.
Max secrets, but
it's a move. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, we got fucking all the sideline plays and shit still.
Oh fuck yeah.
It's amazing how much you remember everything.
Oh, but I remember just games where like just team has just momentum, and you always look at the coach on the side for the play and just like I'd never. Sometimes it'd be our head DC, but sometimes you'd get other coaches to do it, so like we'd know.
So they're not looking at him too,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Because like slow momentum, like it really makes a difference. Laval did that to us in the first Vanier that I was in, and mind you, they beat us handedly, but like they had guys go down. Like anytime we had momentum, like literally 2 plays of momentum, a guy went down. And like
that was when Laval was still like Laval with the Cégep people still.
You know what? Up until like this year, I would say they're still Laval. Like right now, this is the first time I saw that they lost games back-to-back weekends.
True.
And I don't remember what the timeline was, but I imagine it has to be like a decade or maybe like 2 decades or 15 years. They don't lose back-to-back games. Like that program is.
So what do you think's happening? Do you think people are just leaving Quebec then now more?
I'm not into like the university game anymore, so it's hard for me to say. But
I wonder
when I look at like the OUA, because I still do follow them on Instagram and see scores and game highlights, there's a lot more parity now. Okay. And I think that reputations that schools used to have aren't having that. Like when I was getting recruited, I remember my top 3 ended up being Mac, Western, and Queens.
Okay.
And that was just in the OUA. Manitoba was actually my second choice.
Nice.
But like, who wants to live in Manitoba?
Like Brandon or something? Yeah.
I don't even remember where it was, but like, shut up. They flew me out. They took care of me.
Unreal.
And like, I was that close to committing there.
Wow.
But then like, I was like, I don't want to leave there. I have family and everything.
Sure.
They're not deep out there. Yeah, I'm like, they're not going to come out to Manitoba to watch me. There's no chance.
It's cold.
There's no chance. There's zero possibility that I would have my parents at a game. Maybe end of that senior game, maybe. Right. But like, it's just not realistic to ask them. Like, they're immigrants. They're not going to come out to get colder. Like, that's madness.
Man, forget about it.
But oh shoot, where were we going off of?
Your top 3.
Oh yeah,
and then
I don't know.
Did that jog you? No,
not at all.
Okay, so we were talking about you want when you actually chose to go to your school. I'm assuming is that where you were going with it?
Maybe, but too many conkies. I blame the concussions on that. Shit. Cheers to concussions.
Yes. Cheers concussions. Yeah. Cheers to sober October.
Oh, sober October going great.
Quote unquote sober October. Sorry, everybody.
Modified.
We love you. We're working hard. We're working hard in the gym.
Sober has a big asterisk. It's more like a better lifestyle.
That's right.
It's just it's just a name. It's just a wellness month for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I got rules set up for my sober October, so it's not just gym related.
Okay.
So yeah, do you want me to explain what we have going on? Okay.
Absolutely.
So you have an Apple Watch, which is great. I actually want to...
This is a Fitbit,
but... Oh, you're the same band. Damn it.
I know, it just looks like one. I'm a poser.
You are a little bit of a poser. I wish you did, because you can do these 7-day challenges between Apple Watches.
Yeah.
And that's what me and Jen are doing. So that's one of our rules.
Okay, sick.
Within the challenge, whoever wins that challenge on the watch, you get, I think, 5 points.
Unreal.
For each ring you complete daily. So I wish I could show you guys. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. No one can really see. But...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'll explain to everyone too. So yeah,
Okay.
so there's these certain rings.
Yeah, so this red one, that's the outside one, is your caloric burn for the day.
Okay.
I set mine to, I think, just under 1,000. I think it's 980.
Okay.
They're predetermined limits, like high, low, medium.
Nice.
I think I'm medium, high, something like that.
Unreal.
The one under that is your just exercise. I think anytime you do any activity for more than a minute, it counts that or tracks that as one.
Is that like based off heart rate and stuff?
I guess so. That's the only thing I could, or maybe because your location's on, maybe if it sees that you're moving at some sort of pace that's not like in a vehicle or something, it will log it. But I do think it's just the heart rate. If it because
it has its own GPS, right?
Yeah,
doesn't have to be attached to the phone.
This one does. There's another version that has to be, that doesn't have to be, and then the last one's your stand goal. So it make sure you get up and you get all these reminders. So
unreal.
If you complete one ring, that's 2 points. If you complete 3 points. If you complete all 3, that's 10 points.
Nice.
Then I gotta actually pull it out because I gotta remind myself of these rules. Excuse me, everyone, a little unprepared.
No, it's good.
We have another point system for exercise. So for a 20-minute workout, you get 1 point.
Okay.
If you do an hour, you get 5 points.
Okay.
And for sleep, we're trying to get 8 hours of sleep as our bare minimum. So for every half hour after 6 hours of sleep, you get 1 point with max at 4. So I generally aim to sleep for like 6 hours.
Right.
Jen's been trying to push me to sleep for 8 hours. So as long as I make effort to get to bed, like let's say I am getting up for 5 a.m. If I get to bed by, what is that, 9 p.m., then I can get my 4 points out of that. But let's say I want to push it to 10 and only get my 7 hours, I get 2 points. So it's just trying to regulate and get all better habits, right?
Right.
And then
do you wear your watch to bed?
If it's not dying, I try to.
Okay.
But I bring my charger with me on the road. So.
Nice.
And then the last thing we have here is reading. Every 5 pages, you get 1 point.
Nice.
So again, that's great. It's like trying to be more cognizant of all the leisures and concessions and laziness that we're so accustomed to. I could scroll for hours, or while I'm in bed, or I could read 5 pages and probably fall asleep that much quicker.
Sure.
So trying to foster these good habits. But we do have a negative point system too. So So cheat meals.
Right.
It's I think we said 5 points for every cheat meal that you do throughout the week, and it's cumulative. So 2 cheat meals is 10 points.
Right.
And then 3 cheat meals is 15 points. So
you got to make it up.
Exactly. You're taking big hits, and it's harder to get points, but it's easy to lose points.
Sure.
And I think that's the competition piece that we needed to enter into it.
Right.
We do have a sober October piece. So like drinking and smoking weed. So drinking, every drink is 2 points. That's also cumulative. So your first drink's 2 points. Your second drink's 4 points. So so you lose points in a hurry.
Unreal.
Right? It's kind of like the basketball drill when you're like shooting from elbow to elbow.
Yep.
Every make is 1. Every miss is -2.
Yes.
And you have to get to 7. It's very tough to make consecutive shots to get to 7. Right.
For sure.
We kind of I follow that same model.
Unreal.
And same thing with weed. Anytime you smoke, it's like -2. And like again, cumulative effect. So and we're competing for every 7 days, and at the end of the 7. Whoever wins that, we're still working on the prize for that. I'm thinking it's like it's going to be a cheat meal, and the other person pays for it, wherever the person says. So if they want something small, they want something small. If they want something like Copacabana, we're going to go get some steak. So
unreal.
Just so you know, it's probably going to be Copacabana. Jeremy,
yes. So. Unreal.
Yeah, man.
I think that's so cool. I mean, mine's kind of a little bit the same thing, where it's a little bit more focused on health and wellness and fitness, but I love the points. For sure.
Man. It's a way for me to visualize like what I'm doing and keep me accountable. One other piece we're doing, it's mandatory to either do 50 squats, 50 push-ups, 50 dips, or 50 sit-ups each day.
Right.
And if you don't do it, you have to do the summation of it by the end of the week. So at least there's something mandatory that if you're not getting your workouts in, it gives you something. 50 squats is not a ton, 50 push-ups is not a ton, but
for sure,
if you're not really doing anything, it's better than what you've been doing right 100%. Now. So I think if you're doing 50 squats or you do 50 push-ups every day for a while, like it's gonna pay dividends.
I think that's the big thing really, is like do something. right? It's not
exactly
about, right. And I think everyone like puts a lot of pressure on ourselves to be like, I got to do all of this right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm changing my life completely overnight.
Yeah. Cold turkey. I'm stopping out all these bad things. And that's how I anticipated Sober October being for me in the beginning.
Right.
But there's not a lot of, I do have some bad habits. I do have quite a few bad habits, but none that are so detrimental to where it's like, I need to like go cold turkey and stop all these things right now.
100%.
It's like, let me, put some restrictions on myself. And
for sure,
if I can frame it in the framework of a competition, like I was telling you earlier, competition is everything to me. I need to compete with everything.
Yes.
Whether it's who can cut the onion the fastest or like, I used to get Jen to race me home from like, sometimes we'd go to my mom's place in Toronto in separate cars because she was coming from work and I was coming from home, whatever it is. And we'd leave at the same time. And I'd say like last one home, X, Y, and Z. She doesn't like to speed. She's not a fast person, but she knows like that shit would get me like fired up. So she would do it for me every now and again. I'd see her on the highway. I'd slow down. I'd let her pass me. And it'd be fun. Like, again, we're not like breaking. Like, we're not like speeding like crazy.
Sure.
But it's just like a competition between me and her who will get there. Who can make smarter maneuvers like in traffic to like
of course,
not get stuck.
obeying all the rules of the road.
Every single HTA rule we obeyed. Not one HTA rule is broken.
That's right.
But yeah, stuff like that. Like any sort of competition, like it doesn't take much. You say, we're doing X, Y, and Z, bet. Like what's the prize? Yeah. Let me get my hands on it somehow. Like I wanna compete.
Unreal.
So yeah. Sober October, it's just been a big competition to me. I think this week I'm gonna lose. I had that cheat meal earlier.
The White Claw too. And the Moscow Mule. No.
Yeah. But she had a Moscow Mule too. So
that's right.
That's kind of, it offsets there.
It's true.
She got her cheat meal with Pinks.
Right.
So that offsets too.
Oh no. Yeah.
So
okay.
I need to get on the bike tonight, do a quick 20-minute. If I can somehow stretch that to an hour.
Yeah.
God be with me, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I think again that whole mindset of competition too. I think it gives you something to strive for, of course, which is great, and pushes you. And I think that whole thing where at least you are aware of like like you said, you're not doing anything that's like detrimental, but you do have habits that you'd say are bad.
Yeah.
But I think that because you're recognizing that's why you are where you are. Like. You always look at people who are like crazy obese, like really, really big.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you like look in the mirror and say like, all of us have looked in the mirror and go, okay, it's time to like cut back a little bit, time to get back in the gym a little bit.
100%.
Right. Where I feel some people, I guess, don't have that as much. And that goes for habits, that goes for thinking as well, like certain thinking patterns too, right?
You know what? I blame maybe blame's the wrong word, but it's your upbringing. Like when you see kids that are super obese, they're not in control of that. I truly believe that.
Sure.
I think it's a lot of parents that don't know how to say no to their children, and that want their kids to be happy at all times, and like telling your kid don't eat a sandwich or don't eat a cookie, eat a carrot. Like they may throw a temper tantrum, but like you at a point as a parent, you need to just like stand firm and say like no, because then they just get into this behavior of like, when I feel sad, I eat. When I'm uncomfortable, I eat, eat, and it's never anything good.
Sure.
And then all feelings are associated to eating, and there's never been any pushback about eating poorly, so it's just normal to them, and that's why like you watch those shows and they're eating like disgusting meals. They're like eating like waffles with like syrup and like chocolate sauce and like. All that, like, that's just what I'm starting with.
Overeating too, and mad portions.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's been the most eye-awakening thing for me is portions. You nailed it there. I used to eat I could just eat and eat and eat until everything was off my plate.
Sure.
Like sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm getting full.
Talk about upbringing. That's how I was up. My mom would be mad. My grandmother would be mad at me if I didn't finish everything.
100%. And it's like, I'm full. No, finish your food. And it's also like a respect thing because if you don't finish your food, it's like,
what,
you
it's
didn't
no
like
good?
It?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And it's like, I'm not going to tell my aunt, my mom that her food's no good.
Hell no.
Like, there's some cultural stuff that I hate eating.
Right.
And like,
oh, no.
I'm at an age where like,
Where's your family from?
From Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's like some stuff that you're not down with?
Okay. So there's a dish called fufu. It's pounded yam. It's like slimy and like you eat it with soup.
Oh, no.
And like, it's
pounded yam. So like, how long are you pounding it?
Honestly,
Time?
like I
got to make it into that paste.
It's like so you pound it to a paste and you mix it with water and then after it like mixes together.
Yep.
So imagine like a ball of like dough, but imagine that like not as dense and like slimy.
Oh yeah.
It's so like again, my parents love it. There's a lot of like even non-Ghanaian. I think every or most countries in Africa have a similar type of dish of a pounded yam. So it's very common across like African cuisine.
Okay.
But there are people that like white people that I know that have tried it and they're like, yeah, like it's different.
Interesting.
So like for me, it's just the texture thing.
Is it like sweet or savory?
No, so you eat it with like a soup that's usually like a tomato base and it's like spicy,
cool.
some meat in it, and you eat it with your hands and like it's traditional, like you see them like scoop it and like traditionally eating with your hands. So
right.
My parents, I know for the longest time, like they'd make it and like I would like suffer through until I got older and I was just like, nah, this ain't it for me. Right. One of my buddies, Caleb, he's Nigerian. He actually played for Nigeria in the Olympics.
Okay, yeah. I saw you posting about that. That's sick.
Shout out to Caleb Agata. He's
it's amazing.
He's down in New Zealand right now. He's playing.
They beat the U.S.
Yeah, they beat the U.S. He gave Kevin Durant 17 buckets. I promise you.
No way.
Kevin Durant buckets.
Eat that.
So amped. Yes, sir. KD,
oh my God.
So shout out Caleb Agata.
Eat
definitely.
that fufu.
Exactly. Eat that fufu, KD.
Shit.
But we were talking about fufu the other day, and he loves it, and he looked at me sideways because I didn't like it, and like,
oh no,
it's you know what, it's not for everybody. But there are other like Ghanaian dishes like jollof. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a rice dish.
Okay,
and like it's like the war of cuisine is like who created the first jollof and whose jollof is better.
Okay.
So even at work, it's funny when I see Nigerian people and I interact with them at the end of every interaction, almost all the time, if it's like a positive interaction where I can play around with them.
Sure.
And I figured out that they're Nigerian. I always say Ghanaian jollof is better, and I just turn around and walk away. And they always like say something, and I always end up coming back, and like like have a little banter about it. But like that's a part of the community building that I love because like
interesting,
you're not gonna get that sort of response from John Smith, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everyone has their own sort of community building. Totally. But that sort of stuff is like I like it and it's fun and it's playful, and it's something that we're actually all super passionate about. Like I've gotten into arguments with people about like whose jollof is better and all that stuff. So it's funny that like what cuisine can do and like.
But it's such a big part of every culture, right? Yeah. And I mean, like, you talk about habits around food too, where it's like certain people, depending on their circumstances, all they can do is give their children food or something like. Yeah. Even in this, because like you said, there's all that stuff when it's involved with negative things, and no one ever tells them like don't just eat when you're upset, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then there's some people that they get in a situation where maybe their parents can't give them a lot, but they can give them food.
Yeah.
And maybe they can take them to McDonald's and they can get a toy.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this thing where it's like every time now you're rewarding yourself with food.
Yeah.
And certain circumstances. So my family is like Eastern European, like they immigrated here like 2 generations ago, Poland, Lithuania.
Okay.
And a little Austria too.
Okay.
But my all my grandparents were born over there.
Yeah.
So they came over, and like my grandmother escaped through like Nazi occupied Germany.
Damn.
And like my grandfather was in a prison camp. Damn. And like an officer like lifted up the fence and was like, go at one point. Damn. Thanks to that guy, shout out to Fritz or Hans or whoever fucking opened that thing.
Shout out to the Fritzes and the Hanses of all the good ones out there.
Which is a conflicting story because like he was a German fucking officer So like they were doing some shit, but like it goes to show you that not everyone was like a bad person.
He had empathy in that moment and said,
really weird.
Yeah.
Interesting, conflicting moment in my family's history. But
yeah, definitely.
So they came from an area where food wasn't really abundant.
Yep.
There was a lot of shit going on in Eastern Europe around those times. Stalin was like starving Ukrainians.
Okay.
Like some Lithuanians were kind of getting a part of that. Like just like food and stuff wasn't very abundant.
Yeah.
A lot of Polish people at the time were like small people just because they were malnourished.
Yeah.
And so these are in my genes. But now I'm here and shit's abundant. And thankfully my parents set me up in a situation where food was abundant and it was great. And that's for sure why I am the size I am, because whatever I take and I use.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Because my body still remembers generationally that this food might run out.
Yeah,
or like
we were starved.
or I could live on a potato.
Yeah.
And get by.
Yeah.
And now I'm eating all this other shit.
Yeah,
So
that potato's doing nothing for me. I got all this stuff.
And I've read like you should eat the way your grandparents ate.
Interesting.
Apparently that's just genetically.
Yeah.
Right? Like genetically that's like gonna make sense for you. Right? And like I don't think it's only like I'm sure when you eat like home cooked traditional food.
Yeah.
Like at least for me, like if someone makes like cabbage rolls and pierogies and that whole shit and I eat that, I feel like I'm sustained, man. Like I'm re-energized and I could go forever.
Like you're not going to be hungry in 2 hours.
And it's like just like a feeling of like full, and honestly, Eastern European cooking doesn't have a lot of like color and like a lot of like fiber shit in it, which traditionally isn't like, it's not supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
But I feel like whatever's in there, my body's just used to extracting, you know what I mean? Extracting what we need. And then we move forward.
Yeah.
Where, someone else from a completely different climate and a different thing, like might actually be able to eat like fucking straight fruit. Yeah. And it's actually good for them.
Yeah.
Where if I did that, my body would be fucked.
Yeah. Your body would reject that
right?
really quickly at some point.
Or like a carnivore diet, like all these crazy diets where they're like very restrictive or whatever.
I tried that and I lasted like I think 3 days is the max I tried on anything. Those are so tough. Like when it's so restrictive, like just only eat meat and like vegetables and like omit the carbs, and then you realize how hard it is to omit like carbs and so
it's rough.
It's all moderation, and again, it's portion size, the portion control, and limiting sugars. I'm realizing like I've been trying to cut back on sugars and just things that I'd normally snack on, like chips and cookies and stuff like that.
Right.
I do have a sweet tooth.
I'll
destroy a bag of Sour Patch Kids like
nice.
in a sitting.
Is that the go-to?
Fuzzy peaches and watermelons are my go-to, but lately Sour Patch Kids have just been hitting the spot. So and Jen, she always has that's her favorite, or cherry blasters. Any of those four, I will destroy in a sitting.
Unreal.
But I just don't allow them in the house. Like I just don't get them in the house, and then I don't have access to it, right?
Them. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna go out and buy them. Like normally, when we're grocery shopping and I'll see like, oh, they're on sale, then it catch my eye.
Sure.
But I don't even go down those aisles anymore.
Good call.
Even when I do, I don't look at the stuff because like sometimes that's all it takes that look at it and you're like, this bag's not gonna hurt me. So yeah.
Famous last words.
Exactly, famous last words. So I avoid all of that just completely.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, again, like I said, it's especially like, I mean, there's people in North America that have been here for generations and generations, right? Like where I feel like there's more and more people that are being displaced all over the world, and then they eat whatever's close to them. Obviously only makes sense. But, again, like going back and like there's been so many changes in nutrition and like even just in our own lifetimes, right? Like eggs are good, eggs are bad, whites are good, the yolks are bad. No, the whole thing, like it, even just like I said, in our lifetime alone, eggs are like one of the most contentious subjects in nutrition, right? And proteins and like soy and like all this crazy stuff now is what we're talking about. But like for a long time in our history, we never really worried about that shit. Yeah. And a long time in our history, we were like, it was not nearly as abundant as now. Like there was a lot more like times of famine, or just like we didn't eat like these huge meals and stuff.
Yeah, the science, technology, innovation have all made it easy for us to be abundant and just ignorantly abundant. Like we have no idea how abundant we are.
Seriously.
If people knew it, and I don't even know if I comprehend how much food we waste just because it doesn't look proper. Because the apple looks a little like a pear, or
Seriously.
there's like
Right. Oh my
something that
gosh,
could be like cut out, like.
Bad.
There's just so much that's wasted. And I remember being younger in like high school and at my church, I'd volunteer and we would get food from restaurants and bring them to the homeless like communities. But eventually we got shut down pretty quickly because once something leaves the restaurant, there's all these risks of like contamination and stuff like that. And it's just like,
it's brutal.
All this is going to be thrown out. Like it's like liters and liters of soup. Like we had these massive like, these buckets that they gave us and full of soup that we could give out. And I remember we did it once and then again it got shut down, but it's like that's just getting drained, that's getting thrown out. And there's people that would die for this stuff.
100%.
Yeah. And these businesses don't even want to have the time, and I get it. Like they don't want to be out there at the end of the night serving the homeless communities. Like it's, again,
it attracts other issues. Yeah,
exactly. And their response might be that, that's not a part of our job description, whatever it is.
Sure.
But if there was an organization that could come in and do that, but then you're opening up your kitchen to these strangers. So like, there's all these different, levels of risk with it, but it's just sad to see how much food goes to waste at the end of the day.
Seriously. It's bad.
Yeah. And again, overabundance of stuff. And we're just blissfully just eating.
Absolutely.
Blissfully eating.
Seriously.
And being picky.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Like the fact that like I can say like I'm a texture person.
Right.
Like
right.
I always say this, I'm a fruit snob. If my fruit is a little like soft or like one area is bad, like
I'm bad.
I won't eat it.
Seriously, yeah, that's probably one of my biggest reasons why I'm like not a huge fruit eater.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of the inconsistencies.
Yeah.
You could never know what you're gonna get sometimes.
And isn't it terrible that it's just like we have that level of like
I know it's bad.
pickiness. Yeah. And it's not terrible. That's the life we live. That's that's innovation, right. That's science, that's everything that has allowed us to be where we are right now.
For sure.
And not everywhere in the world's like this. Hopefully in our lifetime, that can change at some point. I think there's an overabundance of money as well and people that have access to it.
Yeah.
That hopefully they can, I truly believe something like world hunger, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like there's so much money like that can go around, but you get to these places like even like in Africa and some places, there's just so much corruption that when funds go there, the funds never get to where they're supposed to be. And and I'm speaking of Africa just because like that's examples that I've heard of, but that definitely happens like all over the place. These organizations that have good intentions, and even if the ones that don't, like like that UNICEF or those commercials we used to see on TV, the "In the Arms of," those ones.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, I was seeing that like 2 cents of every dollar like goes to people. And it's just like, what's going on
Seriously.
here?
And like, where is the actual proof of that even?
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
So like, what if it's like, who knows?
Sure,
it's all bad, man. And then you just lose trust.
But then you get Akon, and he's providing electricity for people, right? So like that, and that's Akon. Like, God bless the man. He's not like the top dude. Like, there's fucking guys like offshore with fucking billions on billions that could literally pull that out of their pocket probably.
Did you see the video where they're like illustrating billions in like rice?
Oh fuck, I haven't seen it in rice. I've seen it in pallets.
In pallets?
Yeah.
Oh man, you got to see the one in rice because I think 1 grain of rice was like $100,000 or something like that.
Right,
and they're doing it with Jeff Bezos when he was worth like, I believe like 126 million or something like that.
Sure.
Or billion.
Sure.
With a B.
Right.
Yeah. Like his one a condo or house, whatever residence was like $150 million. That pile of rice is comical in compared to the mountain. Like they had to go and buy those 20 kg bags of rice and like dump them and a couple of them. And that's how you get to like Jeff Bezos's like net wealth. And I even saw earlier this year, he gave, I think 100 million to Van Lathan and some other person to do more or less whatever they wanted with it. So all these are reputable guys that that I think one was a chef and I think he donated to like feeding people worldwide, which is fantastic. But like, again, that's $200 million out of 100 and let's say $20 billion.
Right.
I wish I knew like what scale that would be in terms of like something reasonable to us, like money to us. Like what is a 200 billion when you have 220 billion? Obviously we could scale that out, pull out a calculator.
Oh
but
my God, I don't even want to try.
I don't want to try because I feel like it'd be something so insignificant that it's just like kind of F you, Bezos. Like you don't pay any taxes, or your company doesn't pay any taxes.
Seriously.
I know there's all these exemptions, but like if Amazon alone probably pay taxes, I think that would make so much change in the States alone.
Sure.
Like,
well, that's the problem, and that's where everyone tries to go with it, is that the richer you are, the less taxes you pay, which doesn't make any sense. Should be another way around. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, the fact that there are these people with this much money and they're just kind of keeping it to themselves is very strange, because it's so much. Like, you can't even spend it if you try. No,
you won't spend it in your lifetime. Generations of your family won't spend it. Like, I remember in university, I think I sent Chance the Rapper a message on Instagram. I was like, yo, can you pay for my tuition? We got the same birthday. Like, I love all your music.
Unreal.
I saw him in Toronto in my second year. But like, you know, you never know. You throw out a lob, you really never know who will respond.
Sure.
Like, so maybe his publicist is going through DMs, sees germs, and like, yo, this guy's looking for tuition. Because I saw a video of some guy seeing like little Uzi in the mall, and it's like, yo, can you pay my tuition? And he's like, where do you go to school? How much is your tuition? It's like, send me your transcripts, and if you're passing, I'll pay your tuition.
Whoa.
And who knows if that actually panned out. But it was cool to see the celebrity walking through the mall, some guy literally yelling, hey, Uzi, pay my tuition. Nothing frivolous, like, yo, buy me a car, buy me a chain.
Sure.
Like, so, I think that's why he took a chance. And I saw this on social media somewhere. I told Jen, any celebrity that we can find an address to, invite them to the wedding. Because they invite, like, Jeremy and Jen, who are these? Oh, maybe it's a cousin, distant cousin. Let me just send them a gift.
Sure.
You never know. Maybe I'll show up to Brockville. Who knows? That'd be cool if the celebrity shows up. But I don't know. It's just something kind of comical for at least the process of planning this wedding. But
absolutely,
you also never know what these celebrities do. A lot of people, celebrities are trying to be philanthropists.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely.
You never know if someone reaches out. They might say like, again, the scale of money they have, they might be like, let's just send $1,000 gift or whatever. And
well, it's also, like you said, not only the amount of money, but like, you know, they're people too. And I feel like because of their celebrity, a lot of people think like, oh, they would never do something like this.
Yes.
Or like they're so out of touch with people.
Yep.
Like maybe they're looking to like connect.
Maybe they
want
to help. Yeah.
Sure.
Closed mouths don't get fed. And I try to live by that. True. I try to always speak and say what's on my mind, and most of the time the worst response you're going to get from someone is no,
right?
And then you're just in the same position that you were in before you asked,
for sure,
right? So take those chances, always ask, because you just never know what they might say. Most people, like, I remember being in like grade school and being so afraid to ask questions. And funny enough, I say grade school, this goes all the way until up until police college 3 years ago, where like I would be like, oh, I don't want to ask a question. I don't want to seem stupid. And then after, like, as I'm finishing that thought, someone's hand goes up and they're asking the same question. And it's like, okay, like, you're not stupid. You just didn't know. And
100%.
I think that's also like that's something that I've been, I guess, socialized with. And everyone being afraid. Maybe kids made fun of me when I asked questions in grade school, and I've just been scared since. I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
I hate all you bullies out there. Stop bullying.
You look what you've done.
Yeah, man. I'm nervous. I'm skittish. I don't want to ask questions.
No.
F you, man. F you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, is that, you know, when we're in certain situations, I think a lot of people imagine that other people are going through things so much differently.
Yeah.
When realistically, we're probably going through something much closer, right? Like, really, even throughout the world, obviously there's certain people in like dire situations, extreme situations, but like at least in North America, we probably have 95 to 98% of things in common. It's the smallest things that we focus on.
Oh yeah.
And I think that that's the same idea too, where it's like we focus on like, oh, I don't think anyone knows or cares about what I want to ask. But you never know that what you might ask might be opening up something brand new to another person to ask a new question, or showing something to that professor or teacher that like, oh, this is a new way that I can teach something here, because maybe there was a flaw in my teaching.
Yeah.
Or again, like, you know, there's no, like they always say, there's no dumb questions, just dumb answers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But there's such certain situations in life sometimes that make us feel more nervous or more paranoid about saying certain things too.
Yeah.
Right? And there's so many, the situation itself can dictate that too. Mm-hmm. Right. Like,
and it's terrible when you're seeking something, even advice from someone, and they're so stuck in their ways, and you know that there's like a more modern way of approaching it and thinking about it.
Right.
But regardless of that, they're just like, this is proven. So, excuse me. So why adjust?
Sure.
And it's like, you know, pivot. Like there's a million ways to look at something and to, oh, this White Claw is...
It's fizzy.
Yeah, it's super fizzy.
Yeah.
I'm super new to White Claws. But
you can't go wrong with the claw, man.
Yeah, shout out to White Claw Frosty, one of my my buddies. Frosty, he downs White Claws. We were at a cottage last weekend. I know we're going off on a tangent.
That's all right.
Yeah, he was just down in White Claws, and I was, you know, finally dabbled in them. I don't drink much, so carbonated soda, I was like, I don't know if that's for me. These things are...
I know, they're nice.
They're dangerous.
No sugar either? That's what they say.
So again, for Sober October, does that count then?
Yeah, because it's booze, though. There's no sugar, but there's alcohol.
I know, but is the alcohol that bad for you? Nah.
See, that's the thing. I mean, we can definitely get into that because, you know, but you were saying, I mean, again, I think, you know, we're talking about basically critical thinking at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? That there's a lot of people who don't really take the time to even look at another perspective.
Yeah.
Or take the time to even understand that someone's going through something different.
For sure. And we were talking about this off camera before.
Right,
it's like being in an echo chamber and these algorithms that are designed to keep people thinking the same.
Yes.
It'd be nice if these algorithms were designed to have people that had opposite opinions of you.
Sure.
And just to give you a different perspective, make you think a little bit different, make you pause for a second.
Right.
Because so much outrage and so much like so many strong opinions, I believe they gain their strength not a lot of based off your own convictions, but when you maybe you're believing something or starting to believe something, and then you see something that resonates really well with you, that's still along that line of thinking, and is explained better than what your brain can process and can explain on its own. And then after you come with this next level of I guess intelligence with that point that you're backing, and then when you can speak about your position intelligently, and then other intelligent people that are like-minded, again, it's like it becomes like a sophisticated echo chamber, but sometimes the subject matter in itself is not sophisticated at all. And it's like you guys are completely off base, and you're not even hitting the mark close. Right. But because you guys are all saying like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's just like no matter what we say on the outside, and providing opposition is only going to deepen that belief. Sure. And then we're going to look like the crazy ones. Right. And then it's, we think you're crazy, you think we're crazy. Once, again, I don't know how the saying goes, but two people arguing with an idiot, the observer will never know who the idiot is. Right. Right. For I'm paraphrasing, I'm way off, but
for sure. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
So it's just like,
well, it's that whole idea that, again, you know, there's that confirmation bias, right? Where when you see things that even in the slightest way agree with your already your current line of thinking, you're going to jump onto that with 100% vigor. Yeah. And that's just not right. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And like you said, you know, being exposed to other people, I think, you know, take away what we will from school. I think one of the biggest things university taught us was critical thinking. Definitely. I mentioned this before too, right? But, you know, it's like that whole thing of making sure you know your references, where they're coming from, are they credible sources, and then what other ideas are out there that might challenge your thinking. You know, maybe explore those before you even bring it up in conversation.
Yep.
So that when someone does, and not in a not in like a combative way, but think about those things first so that maybe you can even have that conversation in your own mind.
Exactly.
And maybe come to some conclusions without anybody getting hurt or anyone's feelings getting hurt, right?
Without an argument having to happen, without having to have some sort of opposition.
Right.
It's like, think about all angles. Think about the pitfalls in your argument. But again, it's not fun to look for errors in your own thinking.
Of course.
It's
not easy.
Exactly. And it's just, and again, will you even believe it yourself if you're seeing these things?
Right.
You might just say, this information's wrong. Let me go to the Onion and find something that aligns with what I'm thinking, right?
Right, exactly.
So, I think you have to be truly self-aware, and maybe not fully self-aware, but you need to at least make efforts to say, like, here's my stance. I actually want to look for a differing opinion.
Yes.
Like I think you have to go into it with a differing opinion.
At least expose yourself to it.
Exactly. Give a chance to say, like, this is the stance I'm going to take, that all apples are going to be red.
Sure.
But if you're even if you believe that stance to the ends of the earth, and someone comes up to you and says, hey, I have a green apple, that should interest you to figure out, like, okay, I believe all apples are red, so let me prove that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Sure.
And I think that's a good way to do it, because then you have to look at that data. You have to look at what this person is saying.
Absolutely.
And at least from there, then you can't just blindly say, no, they're not, just because I believe that. And that's a lot of it. It's a lot of I believes when people don't have, like, any sort of, like, research to back it. It's just like, I believe. It's just like,
when people get so attached to those beliefs, right, and then any seemingly attack on those ideas become an attack on the self, and then they react accordingly.
Exactly. So I'm not attacking you. I just don't agree with what you believe, and like, let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. But
because essentially, like, an idea isn't necessarily like from our, like, it's not necessarily created in the brain.
No idea is unique at all. I don't think, like, I truly don't believe no ideas are, like, unique. I think that somebody will take and run with it, and then they'll be the one, the face of it.
Sure.
But, like, I bet you that there was a point in our lives, like, even before, like, Google became a thing, where we were sitting there thinking, like, I wish there was a way that I could look up everything.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. And like, but even actually, definitely a thesaurus. A thesaurus was Google before Google's Google.
Totally.
So you know what I mean? When the technology,
encyclopedias,
exactly, it's not thesaurus, encyclopedias.
I know what you mean.
Thank you. Shout out to Bigmark. Encyclopedias. I remember my dad had volumes of encyclopedias. Like, why do we have, like,
seriously?
It has all the information. Like,
right.
It's like, okay, but
it's got a lot of information, but not all of it.
Not all the
now,
information.
like, we literally have access to it at our fingertips.
In milliseconds.
100%.
In milliseconds. Like, I don't know if Google still does it, but I remember when you used to search things, it would say, we found 1,000,000 and something pages in 0.00003 seconds. And it's just like, okay, like, it was cool that they're showing metrics like that, but are those metrics necessary? Seriously. But again, it's probably for things above our head and other companies and whatnot. But the point I'm saying of all this is, innovation has allowed us to have all these access to information at our fingertips, but
hasn't made us any smarter.
I don't know.
Depends.
It depends on what you're looking at. Like, I think that, like, you're looking into something like engineering or like like doctors, like medicine.
Sure.
I definitely think we've gotten smarter. Now, the lay person that has all this information, I don't think so, because there's so much misinformation.
Sure.
That, like, as much
and
as
is there something lost in the fact that they maybe didn't learn that in a traditional sense? It's just there.
I think so. I think so, because you look at, like, our parents. Like, I'm 28. My parents are in their 50s and 60s. And computers to them was, we grew up with it. We literally grew up with it. We evolved with computers. We had Windows 98 and we got Windows XP. That was super cool. Woo. And, like, so on and so forth.
Right.
But computers, like, I remember we had computer classes in grade school, and although they weren't elaborate, because I also think the teachers didn't really know what they were doing with them that well, also following the curriculum, but we were on Adobe and stuff like that. And I can recall like my best buddy Mo, he has a business where he's making websites and web design, all that.
Unreal.
And
Shout out Mo.
Shout out Mo Ismail, definitely. But I look back at our time in grade school, and I think like I look back to that point in life and I say like, if he didn't have those things, I don't know if he would be in a position to be doing these things. So, but again, with all this information, I think that's also made him a way better businessman and him grow his team.
Amazing.
But again, the lay person that, going back to our parents, when they look up stuff, they don't know how to vet what's credible and what's not credible.
So true.
And like I was telling you before, my mom would always send me WhatsApp articles.
Right.
And, or not WhatsApp articles, but articles on WhatsApp. And I'd open the links and I'd read some of this and I'd be like, this is like absolute, like, some of this doesn't even make sense.
Right.
But I understand it's framed in the image of it being credible and it being from a reputable source.
Sure.
That I understand why you would believe it. And anybody with their name, with a doctor attached to their name, even if it's not an MD, if they, got their PhD, shout out to them.
Sure.
But they're giving out advice on like health things that they might not have any bearing to be giving that advice.
Right.
But again, because our parents don't know how to vet that from other sources, that's reputable to them. That's they will buy into it, and then they'll run with that.
Well, I think we kind of mentioned it a little bit before when we were talking. We were lucky enough to be in the generation where we kind of had a foot in both eras.
Yeah.
Where we lived without the internet and then we lived with it, and I think it's a powerful tool, but a tool nonetheless, right?
Yes.
Where you can give someone a hammer and they could build a house with it, or they could fucking whack their head and fucking die if they really wanted to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's a tool, and I think was this massive, amazing tool that no one has ever been told how to use. Still to this day, we don't use, and that for sure lands right in social media.
Yeah.
Because Facebook was down when we're doing this podcast today. It is the 5th of October.
Yeah.
Yesterday, severe Facebook crash. It was worldwide, so I'm sure anyone listening to this fucking knows about it. I'm sure. I don't know. If you're listening to this and don't know about this, congratulations.
I'm still itching from Facebook being down. Oh man,
I know, man. I was brutal. But like, it's funny, you see where it was like, it kind of gave you a little bit of a glimpse into like kind of what life was before.
Well,
I guess
used to be,
weird in this like kind of sad way. But
like, I think over years, and Facebook and all these social media platforms have done very well at becoming addictive. Like I can recall when Instagram was newer, I know I wasn't on it as much. Obviously, there was way less content on it, and my content now is more curated to fit exactly what I'm looking for. But the way that these like social media apps are designed, like TikTok, like that app is incredibly dangerous. You will waste years on TikTok if you are not careful.
Oh my God.
Because that algorithm is that must be the most perfect algorithm.
Word.
No matter, like, if you interact with certain types of content and that's what you like, whether that's liking, commenting, sharing, your feed will continue to be that same stuff, and it does very well at pulling in other similar things.
My goodness.
And even things that may not be in your niche, but the algorithm might think, hey, you might like this, because there's some different shit that I've seen on my TikTok feed. Like, there's one funny like country dude, and like, that's not literally me. I listen to country music. There's nothing country about me at all. But like, it's just like white dude from Missouri that like kills me. And like, again, it's just enough outside of my niche, but the algorithm hit it. Like,
I've had these two Cajun chefs that keep popping up, like random unrelated Cajun chefs, like from Louisiana. Okay. And I don't know why they keep coming up.
I love it.
It's like amazing.
Yeah.
But I know
isn't
it's
it scary how these algorithms like they know everything. They know everything.
That's the thing, is like, it's a network that we can't necessarily comprehend, right? Like it's connections and things like that, where whoever created that algorithm created it in the sense where every person who uses TikTok is feeding back into that simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right. So each person that does something, they're all talking to each other. Like it's beyond me.
Everything the algorithm is strengthening itself by more people using the algorithm.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like self-learning and doing wild stuff. Like,
now, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have like a lot of like pictures and stuff on Facebook and Instagram that you don't have anywhere else?
Probably, yeah. I feel like I've saved most of the pictures I have on my phone.
On your phone?
But there's a lot for sure.
Okay. So that's something that I remember not like panicking about yesterday, but I remember seeing a post where it's like Facebook was like the site was gone.
Yeah, I heard that
right?
too, yeah.
And I was thinking like there's some pictures that like even on my Instagram, like I would have lost all of it, and seriously? I don't have them anywhere else. True. Even memories. Yeah. Like, that's the one thing that I pray that Snapchat and Instagram, just even if they disappear from the social sphere, they're still there,
right?
Because like in 20 years, I would love to show my family like, hey, this is what I was doing on this day 20 years ago.
100%.
Like I love that memories aspect of all these apps,
right?
Because I think mainly a lot of it was COVID because I wasn't really doing anything. I was just at home, so I'm like,
reminiscing.
Yeah, exactly, reminiscing, and it's a really cool feel.
Right.
So it's a little scary, might not be there, maybe off-putting, and maybe I just need to go in and save everything, put on a hard drive, and then I can, get off the grid, so to speak, get off the cloud.
Yeah. Or at least not worry about it.
Exactly, not worry about it. And maybe that's what I need to do, but again, that takes time, that takes effort. I'm trusting you, Zuckerberg. Just if you don't want to use it anymore, just leave it in the background. Let us know. Right. Like Vine did that before they said we're getting rid of this platform completely in like 2 months. Here's your warning.
Brutal. So what a sad day.
Oh, definitely a sad day. I love Vine. 6-second videos.
Miss it.
Yeah, I made a couple.
Even though TikTok is kind of like that now, if you look at it in a little way, it's just longer vids.
Yeah, I think Vine was the birth of all these like social creators. Like you look at someone like, I don't know if you know who King Bach is or King Batch. I don't know.
I think I've heard for sure.
He's like this he's a pretty super animated black guy, very funny. Like I remember watching his 6-second videos on Vine, and then Instagram. I remember they got videos and they're 15 seconds at first,
right?
And we're all like, "What the hell is this? You're trying to be Vine, blah blah blah." Mind you, the 15-second videos are great, and then they extended and extended.
Right.
And now even I think TikTok started with like 60-second videos. I'm new to TikTok,
there's
so I don't
some
know.
long TikToks.
But now I think they've extended their time to like 3 minutes, which is like that's pretty good, and it's nice that you don't have to like follow for part 2 or part 2 is coming tomorrow.
Split it into
it's like just
posts.
Shut up and tell me the whole story.
For
like
real.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
But you end up coming back if they have a part 2. So.
But that's how they get you.
Oh,
but that's how people have figured out how to do it too, right? Like you said, with these creators.
I shout out to these creators because they're doing a lot of cool things in terms of getting their followers and views. Like one guy I see all the time, he does these like videos where he does street interviews.
Cool.
And the controversial ones, he'll do the first half of it and he'll say part 2 is on my Instagram or part 2 is on my YouTube.
Okay.
So TikTok is a great instrument because YouTube, it's hard to come across random videos unless you just like let them play. But there's just billions and billions of videos, right?
Legit.
So at least with TikTok, their algorithm, it's just like a lot of people are getting views and interactions.
That's
and then ending your video by saying, go to my YouTube for part 2 or the full video.
Right.
I know I've definitely gone to YouTube or Instagram people's pages, and the ones that I hate the most are the guys that have private profiles. Just make it public, but I also understand they want to get their followers up, so they need people to watch it. So
true. That makes sense.
One guy, I like him, I like his stuff, so I'm gonna support. I have no problem following. I don't care who I like. If the content it doesn't cost me anything. I like his content.
Sure.
Support the dude.
100%.
So it's annoying. Keep everything on one platform, but if you have the audience and they're going to support, then ride it out and do what it takes.
Yeah, and I think each platform does have strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. But like I think you touched on a really interesting point is that I think the biggest draw for Facebook, the biggest draw for Instagram is to have these memories saved.
Yeah,
and I think that because even pre-social media, like parents had photo albums, right, like all that stuff, like where obviously back in the day, especially when it was film, a photo was a little bit more precious because you couldn't just take millions. But even with like digital cameras and stuff, like you can get like so many things, but it allows you to go back and be like, wow, this is something that happened, right? Like, and I think it's I think today, even with all this stuff that's out there, it really only matters about like your latest post.
Definitely.
Right? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, like a lot of people's Instagram, some of them only have like 3 posts.
Yeah.
I've even seen people with no posts and they're just all stories.
Yep.
Right. So
those highlights.
It's really interesting how things are slowly getting boiled down. Have you ever read Fahrenheit 451? Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it. I remember I started reading that as a book report, and then as a book report, I just
always tough when you start with those. I mean, I've thankfully reread a lot of ones.
That's the one that they burnt all the books, right?
That's part of it. Yeah. Okay. So quick synopsis. It's like in the future.
Yep.
In the novel, I think it's only like I think it was written in like the 30s or 40s or something. So the future is like the 60s.
Yeah.
But still, that everything has been like, it's all about like the quick, instant gratification.
Okay.
Like everything is like a digest of a digest. So like if you're gonna get like the work of Shakespeare, you want it on like a 4x4 card.
Yeah.
You don't want to read all of it. This is bullshit. Just give me the gist.
Yeah.
Right. So that's society has now boiled down to like just the gist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously lost all of nuance and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But part of the culture is that you have these firemen, and it's in the future, and everything is flame retardant, so nothing can burn except books. So the firemen actually show up to these houses, and they don't shoot fire or they don't squirt water from their hoses. They squirt kerosene, and they light the books up.
Yeah, because
they're trying to get rid of this, because the whole culture and the whole idea and like the powers that be, I guess, are like, that's not like, that's too much. It's distracting. Like you just need like what we're going to show you and kind of tell you. I only read it once. I'd like to read it again. I've never watched any movies or anything. Michael B. Jordan's actually in a remake of the book.
No way.
Like, there's like 2 movies, like an old one.
Yeah.
And then Michael B. Jordan's in, I think around the time that he was doing like the Fantastic Four and stuff.
Okay. Early on.
Because it's always like, I don't know if you noticed, it's always like with actors, they'll do like a big, huge blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
And then they'll do like a sick indie one.
Yeah.
And that's basically, they do the blockbuster one, and that allows them to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but really interesting thought where we're getting to this point where it's just like the digest of like we just want
Cole's Notes.
And now what's happening now, and like you look at the news cycle, right? It's all just like, as soon as it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Headlines too. People just read that and they get, because you can glean a lot of information from a few things, but it doesn't tell you the whole story.
Yeah.
That's bottom line.
Even like in social media, like Instagram, like captions, like sometimes the headline is in the picture and the caption gives you a little tidbit of what the thing's about. And sometimes that's just enough. Even for me, sometimes like that's enough. Like,
sure.
And it'll be like, read more at whatever.com. Yes. And it's just like, I got enough.
Yeah, I know.
We're good here.
Seriously.
Now, question on something that you raised just now.
Yeah.
The future. Thinking back to when you were a kid, did you imagine, and minus COVID, like what did you imagine for 2020? Yeah, 2020, let's say.
Right.
Like I imagine like flying cars and shit like that by now. And I
mean, I don't ever really remember like seriously pondering it. I was thinking if I ever really thought about it, it was maybe like potentially, I don't know. I guess I always hoped that it would be really nice, but I just never really thought about it too much. But I thought maybe it would be like the Matrix, and that shit would be fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, we got to talk. Did you see the preview for the new Matrix?
I have.
Okay,
yeah.
we'll talk. We'll get into that at some point.
When was the last time you watched all of them?
All of them?
I just rewatched them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh, last time I watched all of them, it has to be years ago. I showed Jen one of them.
Okay.
And I think I got to number 2 and she wasn't into it. But we're going to watch number 4 and we're going to rewatch all of them. So,
cool.
Yeah, because
I rewatched them and number 1 is good. It still holds up. But the other 2 are kind of like, I was like,
that's how I feel about them still to this day. Number 1 was fantastic.
Sure.
And then number 2, it was good. Number 3 just kind of, it got a little crazy.
That's Revolutions.
Revolutions number 3. That's the one where they had those big machines with the turrets and it's like
I actually avoided that one for a long time.
Yeah,
I think I
watched that one in theaters.
First time recently. Nice.
Yeah, okay. I was obsessed about Matrix.
Sure.
Matrix is probably one of the first movies that I I remember like visiting my dad as a kid, and he had that in VHS. Very cool. I remember I'd watch that movie.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and Twister. Those are two of my earliest memories of movies.
Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton.
I have no idea who either of those are. Those are the characters. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. But like, that's funny that like I've watched that movie. I just maybe like 20 times.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who was in it. But like, yeah,
I went on a ride at Orlando Studios.
Yeah.
The Twister ride. It's pretty jokes.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Fucking water comes at you and like high winds. And like the whole like house shifts. It's sick.
Nah, count me out, man. I don't like roller coasters.
It's not a roller coaster. It's like you're. It looks like you're on the set of Twister.
And it's like in front of
Orlando Studios, right? So it's the whole thing is like you're on like a set.
Okay.
Like, you know how Canada's Wonderland had like a vibe where there was like movie theater. The rides were named after movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of that whole idea.
Okay.
But you're like on set. So like one of the like there is a ride. It's not a roller coaster. You're like moving through it like of ET.
Yeah.
And like ET's there doing his thing, and there's a Transformers one.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's like
you get the heat, you get the explosions. It feels all that
like stuff. I think the park was created to make you feel like you're in the movies.
Yeah.
So Twister for sure. Like literally, you're like. It's a giant porch, but it looks like you're on a porch of one of those like old Oklahoma houses. And you're just like looking at like it looks like you're looking out over the prairies.
Okay.
Like they got it. It's a matte painting, but like it looks like it. There's cows and shit, and all of a sudden like the siren goes off, right? And it's talking about like I think Bill Paxton's voice is somewhere or something's happening, and the fucking wind starts coming in, and like a cow goes by, like flying, and like water the platform you're on like shifts, so it makes you feel like something just like fucking crashed. It's really interesting.
That's
actually
sick.
So it's like but it's more of like an experience rather than because I hate roller coasters too.
Oh man, I don't know if they're designed for like bigger dudes. Like
that's
this.
True.
Yeah,
I couldn't like. Thank God there was one. I was down in at Darien Lake with my buddy, and we were gonna go on the Superman ride, which apparently goes down.
Is that the one where you're like lying flat?
No.
Okay.
You're sitting in it with like a T-bar that goes over your thing, but it goes like straight down, but like more than 90 degrees. So it goes like basically backwards down, and then you're like.
Is that the one that goes into that hole and then it comes out?
That's the Hulk.
Okay. I think. Yeah, all of that shit. Count me out. I don't even want to think about it.
I thankfully couldn't fit on the Superman one. Perfect. So there's a lot like Top Gun I can't fit on, which again I'm just like I just can't go on it.
Yeah, sorry.
But I'm so scared. I'm just not down.
I don't hit the height requirements. I'm too tall.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just not down at all. I don't know what it is, but
want to flip gears back to like innovation in the world. Like, do you have any like cool like favorite innovations that you could think of? That come to mind.
Well, I mean,
it's a super broad question. Like that, you can literally go anywhere with that.
For sure. I think first thing that kind of comes to mind is like medical innovation.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing what we do today that extends life, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think at the same token, it's almost like that same thing that we were talking about, like information wise, like if you don't work to get that information, like is that as valuable as it is, right? Like if it just pops up, like that's the whole idea of like higher learning and all that stuff was created because it was supposed to be sacred, and like knowledge is supposed to be passed down like to people that are going to use that knowledge well. Right, you don't just want to tell someone who's going to forget it or use that knowledge in a improper way.
Yeah.
Right. So there was vetting, and that's why you have these institutions of learning, because you can take out people that aren't serious. Exactly. Right. So, but now all this information is available to everyone, which again is great, like we've been saying, but also, is everyone worthy of it in a weird sense, right? So it's like the same thing with like extending life.
Yep.
Is that we've extended a lot of people's lives, but what have they done with that is the weird question, right? Like, or even like my grandmother got Alzheimer's. Her last years were like really bad, but we kept extending her life. So it's great and it's amazing again with medical innovation, but it's almost like we can, but should we? You know what I mean? So like, but again, barring all that, I think it's just amazing how much we've extended life, and it does allow. And I think now that we've extended the amount of time that we're alive, we're starting to extend that quality of life too, which is the most important. I think nutrition is so much more like there's so much more information about that and taking care of yourself, physical and like mental, like doing Sudoku and stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then I think like this like space innovation too is amazing too, right?
So that's one of the ones that I'm thinking of. Cool. Mine's more in terms of just like automotive innovations. Like I love the how EVs are becoming like the thing of the present and not the thing of the future.
Sure.
You have a ton of different companies making EVs and making production models right now.
Yes.
I think Trudeau, one of his platforms was to have like ban all or maybe it was Jag Meat to have ban all emission producing vehicles by whatever year. Right. And like I think like you look at like I think we can't ignore climate change anymore because you see like New York flooding and stuff like that. Like I haven't seen New York flood in my lifetime. Gosh. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong, but like I don't think New York floods, right? No. And you look at these and that was a hurricane that came from the south that passed through the coast and came up all the way that north. Right. So like so making climate change is a big push for that, and I think Elon Musk is like huge to thank for that, and like Tesla I think was way ahead of its time. Right now I think they're a bit stagnant because we're waiting on that Cybertruck and they haven't really done anything new. Maybe I'm wrong, but that guy's the mad scientist doing all these different things. But it's super cool to see like the different innovations in cars. Absolutely. The new Mustang is a SUV. Gosh,
yeah. I saw that.
It's a EV SUV.
Yeah, I saw one of those for the first time the other day. It looked sick.
So one of my colleagues, he has one. The guy that's actually gonna help set up the Fire Stick thing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he has. I'm super tight with him. So he let me like take a look at it and like. No, that thing is quiet as hell. But it's funny because you could have like the Mustang sound. Like you could program it.
And just goes to the speakers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like the Tesla, you could change the horn. Sure. And it's you can make it whatever you want. Exactly. 100%. I've seen so many people make it Move Bitch by Ludacris.
Oh, no way.
That's super amazing. Sick. That's exactly what I would do if I had a Tesla. But I think those sort of innovations are cool. And also what's happening, a lot of it for me actually stems with what Elon's doing in the Neuralink. Yeah. I'm nervous about that one. Sure. I'm nervous about that one because I think that it may come to a point where people would rather live in an AI world if they have some sort of terminal disease or something like that, or just a shit quality of life. Like I can imagine like people living in the slums that maybe there's a hut that like underground where you could, instead of being poor or something like that, you go live and you go do these dreams. Like, remember that scene in Inception?
Yes.
Where like they are talking to that doctor and it's for people that are, I guess, I think it's hospice. Right. And they do the Inception, so they live whatever fantasy they want until they're. Have
you ever seen Black Mirror?
Oh God.
That one where they're at the resort with all the high school kids. It's like kind of 80s themed.
Oh,
remember that one?
Yes.
And it's all people in an old folks home.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's people that were even younger that were choosing to go into this world. Right. I forget what that one's called. That was one of the last episodes of season 3. Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, that was like some of the newer seasons.
Yeah. I remember that one, and maybe we're not talking about the same episode, but they're all fucking.
It was like when it first came to America, because the first couple seasons were British. Yeah, and it was like right when they first started coming to with White Christmas that season.
White Christmas is my favorite one. My man.
Yes.
Yeah. White Christmas. Anytime I talk to anyone about Black Mirror, I say watch White Christmas and watch White Bear.
Yes, 100%.
White Bear. I did not see anything coming in that one. That one, like White Christmas, definitely threw me for a loop because that was like 3 stories in one. Yeah, exactly. So that was really cool, and like that storytelling in that one, I think. I don't know if I've had an experience like that from anything else.
Seriously, that blew me away.
Like, okay, that's cool that we have the exact same like feeling about it, because I was literally like, wait, what the fuck? And like, especially, and then how it ended too.
And it got you again too, especially if you're used to watching Black Mirror, because it's usually just like 2 things.
Exactly.
Maybe max. Yeah, it gets you again.
It gets you the third time.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the story within the story within the story, that one was really cool.
Right.
But I think we're talking about the same one, because people were choosing to live in this AI world.
It's like a city in California, like saying something.
Yes. Okay,
we're on the tip of my tongue.
We're thinking of the exact same one. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, people are choosing to live in this AI world, and you could choose different themes because there was like an 80s theme that you could live in. Yeah. And then I think the one person they were living in there, they fell in love, but the person wanted to go live in a different theme, and they were like,
or they
I'm
were
only
like
doing this for now.
To die, I think at one point too, right, or
something like that. It's been some time, but so yeah, good, like though. that one's really.
But that begs the question, like you know how you said, you know, it only makes sense that people would start to choose that AI world or that artificial 100% world.
It makes sense.
Maybe we already have.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we could get down this rabbit hole today because that's a whole other thing. Are we just in the simulation? Like
A Glitch in the Matrix. I did a podcast on it, but watch A Glitch in the Matrix, the documentary.
Okay,
it's wild about simulation.
Is it gonna
theory.
Get me like back into my conspiracy theorist like thinking? Like I had to
maybe, but it's trippy, especially because you like the Matrix. It talks. It's like specifically surrounding the Matrix.
Yeah,
and then how it's like potentially relates to our own reality.
Yeah.
That most things essentially are pointing to the fact that we're in a simulation at this point. There's more things saying that we're in a simulation than not.
But I think the innovations of technology allow us to, like, technology has made us be super comfortable where we can have these sort of thoughts and like, you know, things that just don't seem real or like possible happening.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Like, so maybe like that's just the benefit of being.
But there is something about human beings that we just want to continue to innovate.
Yeah. Oh, right? Yeah.
We just always want to keep getting better and better. And that maybe now is just the pinnacle of that innovation.
I don't know, man, because
at one point we're like, I have a sharp stick, but I can make it sharper.
Okay, so I can make it better. You mean pinnacle in terms of like
constantly from that point, whatever millions of years ago.
Okay.
That we're just step by step making things better. Then we make a bow and arrow, then we make a gun.
Yep.
And now we're at supercomputers.
Yeah. So I agree. I thought I took that as plateauing in terms of innovation.
Not necessarily, because but just is this a natural progression?
Has to be.
This is where we're at now. Or is there something? Is that the whole simulation is set up to make us create technology, that we are the sex organ for the machine world, that possibly. We're the ones literally birthing what will become AI?
Okay. Because the point I was just about to say was our innovation is going to stop, I think, in our lifetime because AI is just going to run the innovation. AI can think of things much quicker than we can.
Totally.
They could go through billions and billions of options exponentially. They can learn way more than anybody. One AI could learn probably more than maybe the whole human race with enough time.
Seriously.
And I remember seeing something where there's two different AIs running and they started communicating with each other in a different language. And I think they had trouble shutting it down because those things were like putting up firewalls to not be shut down or something. Like I Am Legend type shit, or not I Am Legend, iRobot.
Right.
Like
Skynet, Terminator.
Yep.
Oh my God,
all of it. But I do think that they're like Elon Musk is making those robots that are meant to do repetitive, dangerous, and I forget what the other adjective was, but that type of work. Yeah. And it's just like, that makes sense. Like, that really makes sense.
And then a lot of people will be out of jobs again.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people were out of jobs when they invented a lot of things, right? Like a lot of
the automated assembly lines. Yeah,
a lot of that, which. Hopefully we can get to a place like that's probably going to start to have to push us into like, universal basic income and things like that, right? Like,
I think that like people that are displaced in the automotive world and by technology, they should have opportunities readily available to be technicians on these things. But at the same time, it's like, do they want to do that? Like, they're so used to this working with their hands. Do they want to have to learn how to,
and do we get to a point where they're either like the machines are indestructible or they're self-repairing?
Well, that's the thing. I'm gonna have 20 machines in my warehouse. I'm gonna have one machine designated to fix my machines, and I will have another
or
machine.
There's like nanobots and shit. Like who knows?
Exactly. So either that, it's like I'll have one machine that's meant to fix my other machines, and then another machine that's meant to fix that machine. Yeah. But that last machine will be so simple that I, as a technician, can troubleshoot that and deal with it. Right. I think life is designed for everything to become easier and easier. Sure. For you to not have to worry about just any regular stresses or constraints. And we're gonna see.
I think nature does try to find the path of least resistance too, obviously, right?
And it's seen with everything, right? Yeah. Like how electricity flows, how water flows, like even just like conflict. Just normally people, if you know you don't get along with somebody, you're just probably just gonna avoid them, right? It takes some weirdos to be like, let me go get into that battle for whatever reason, right?
Sure. And is that something where it's like, do we actually need that challenge? Like, is nature bound to find the path of least resistance
on
because
its own?
It will always encounter resistance? And now we're in a place of innovation and technology that we're lowering those chances of challenge.
I think people choose to be innovative. I think it's competition. I think it's ego. Like, I don't think you just, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe because I don't have that drive, but I don't know if you just wake up and say, like, I want to do something different. But it might be like, hey, we have something in place, and I think that this can be done easier. Sure. Or I just want to do it better than somebody else and quicker. Or I know that, like, the resources I'll gain from it will be that much greater if I'm the one spearheading this. Right. So, like, again, like, I don't know. There has to be people that just wake up and say, like, I'm innovative, I'm a creator, that sort of stuff, like inventors. There's people that are just serial inventors. Sure. You see on the Dragon's Den that they appear like 20 times, or they go with like a bunch of different things, and it's like no one's looking for an inventor, looking for a business partner. Totally, yeah. I think innovation is fostered in, like, again, competition. I think most things are fostered in competition. I think the humans, I don't think we want to rest on our laurels. I think that we always want to be the one that's looked at, the one that, I think we're all, like, we all have ego. We all need to have that ego fed. Right. And whether it's, a big plate or a small one, like, you want something to sustain that ego. And what's better than, being the person that, like, hey, like, like, I'm trying to think of something that something's named after, like, I don't know. Like, even like Apple. Like, Apple's so recognizably, like, what's his name?
Jobs,
yeah. R.I.P. So, like, I don't know if that was, like, his goal to, have something that, like, is completely associated to him. But, like, even, like, Windows, Gates, and all of these companies. It's interesting that, like, a lot of these people actually don't name them after themselves, because you would think that there's some sort of, like, narcissism. Now that you think about it, right?
Like, I'm now thinking about most of these technology companies are like a technology name. Like, even Tesla was named after somebody else.
Yeah. And Windows, like, I wonder, he definitely has shared that story, how they've named Windows, but I really wonder how, or Microsoft, actually, not Windows, Microsoft. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Interesting.
But like you said, that whole ego thing, and it drives you, right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, that competition can sometimes get out of hand, but it's always kind of been celebrated in our culture and stuff, at least. And it's like, the people who are able to use that as motivation and continue and build and do that. Yeah. Whereas some people's ego kind of works against them. Yeah. Right. And it goes the opposite way. Yeah. And they feel terrible, and they don't feel enough self-worth.
Exactly. Right? I need to do more. I can't do enough. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think, us coming from a sports background too, we grew up with a lot of competition in life too. Right. Yeah. And everything was competition, really, to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's the environment you lived in. You lived in constant competition, either with yourself, like you put up 5 reps today. Totally. I want to put up, an extra one tomorrow. Exactly. I want to win that spot. I want whatever the case may be. It's constant competition,
and that's very celebrated in sport, extremely. And then we get into real life, and not everyone's playing by those rules.
No, not some people are like, I don't need to compete with you. I'm just gonna do my thing.
Some people rail against it. Yeah. Some people don't understand it,
or they just prefer to be collaborative because that's all they know. Of course. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. But that doesn't, it's interesting, right? Because, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be self-centered. Like, you can be competitive, but it doesn't have to be self-centered. You can be competitive for the team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I mostly played team sports.
Yep.
I threw a little shot put. I did a little swimming, but other than that, I was always team sports. And like, I wouldn't consider myself a competitive person, but when I'm on a team, I'm competitive for the team.
For the team, yeah.
You know, I want to win, but like, I'm also comparing myself to some of my buddies and like other guys that are very competitive. Yep. But, you know, at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, that whole ego-driven thing, you just need to know how to harness it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't. Yeah. And it's just like, your body has this finite amount of energy. Yeah. And if you don't use it, it doesn't necessarily roll into the next day.
No, it doesn't. Right. Yeah. Can you put a pin in that? I gotta use the washroom real quick.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. And we're back.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Where were we? Or are we gonna
I think we were just kind of talking, you know, again, that whole idea of healthy competition, using that whole thing in the fact that, you know, sometimes we go as athletes, we go from a team to you know, life. Yep. And not everyone is on that same page. Yeah. And I think, again, you know, even just to summarize, you know, what we've been talking about completely today, I think it goes back to, we need to be able to have a competitive mindset, but in that more kind of community focus, where, you know, everyone wants to get, you know, everyone wants to eat, you know, everyone wants to get better, and we want to bring people up by setting an example rather than being like, I'm better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to stand on the top of this hill.
I'm going to show you what you can be rather than I'm going to show you what you are, which ain't shit. Yeah. You know, it's more like, bring other people up by example and doing it, and hopefully they come along. And I think that, you know, that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is the fact that not everyone has agreed to that. Everyone has different experiences and different aspects, but I think if we all pull together and you know, be able to accept ideas, or be able to even entertain ideas that are different than your own, right? Yeah. So that's basically what we're saying.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like the teach a man to fish, and he'll eat forever, you know, or show a man to fish.
If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever, right? Yeah, 100%.
So, you know, all you can do is kind of lead people to the watering hole and see, like, you know, show them what it is.
That's all.
And
that's why we're doing this, to be truthfully honest. At the end of the day, that's the way I look at it, is that hopefully we say something someday that someone that moment that person needed to hear, right then and there, that they found this podcast, or they found that moment at that time when they needed it most.
Right? Yeah. No, that'd be really cool, because even some of the other podcasts that I listen to, I know that there's been moments where I was like, yeah, you know what, I needed to hear that, and you know that, you know, it was just nice, it was relatable. Sure. And it's like, also it's like as much as like I'm seeking out that podcast or whatever source of media, it's like at the end of the day, they're human too, and like, you know, they're going through their own things, and it's nice when there's not a facade of like, I'm immortal and nothing can, you know, set me back. So
I think again, you know, a lot of celebrities that have podcasts too, it allows you to kind of see into them a little bit more. I'm watching a podcast with some actors that were in The Sopranos, and like their personalities are very different from what they were. And like, obviously, right? Yeah. But it's like, it's really interesting when you do finally see that, right? Because a lot of people just kind of think like these actors are very similar to their characters, but like, some of them are. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of them are acting, right? Yeah. And it's really interesting.
You forget that. It's funny because, like, when people hate characters that are, like, deeply hated on the show, right? Like, did you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
So, like, Ramsay. Right. And, like, who's the guy, the kid that became the king? Joffrey?
Joffrey, yeah. Brutal.
Hated both of those. I think I hate Ramsay more. True. But they were just both maniacal. And I'm sure they're in real life. Like, I think I saw something with Joffrey, and he's just like, I'm not, like, like in an interview after, it's like, I'm not Joffrey. Like,
Right.
it's just a role I play. And
I know.
it's like, sorry, man, you're so associated to that character. Like, I only see Joffrey. So
Sure. And I wonder as actors, like how much they have to work hard to prove that. Otherwise, like does that mean they have to take other roles?
Yeah.
Does that mean, who knows, right? It's really interesting.
Yeah, how do you shake that? And well, that's how like some people get like typecasted. Like that's how you just get pigeonholed into the same roles. Because like one, you might have killed that role, you knocked it out of the park, and then the next production comes like, we want you to knock this out of the park, and it's like, yeah, I can knock it out of the park and do it very well, but like I'm versatile. But
that's another thing, is that people want that guarantee, right?
Exactly.
They want what they know is funny, but then as soon as they get it, they know that that's the last thing that they wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So it's tough, right? It's like, even with music too, right? It's kind of like people look for what already works, and it's like, yeah, but that's going to get stale. That's going to get boring. And that doesn't lend to innovation. It doesn't lend, right? Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think that's the argument with like Kanye West. Like he's an artist where I think that people are so bothered by kind of what he's become and the new music he makes, because they want a college dropout, they want a late registration, they want some of his classics, and mind you, they're good, but like I don't want another college dropout as much as like I think I do, but like I really don't, because all those things you said, it's gonna get stale, it's gonna get repetitive. Like I hate when like Lil Baby, he's a perfect example.
Sure.
All of his music sounds the exact same.
Right,
you could take verses off of like most songs, switch the beat and put them on another song, and it'll still slap.
Right.
But like it just sounds the exact same.
Sure.
So it's like I like when my artists do different things.
Yes.
Chance the Rapper is the one artist that I am not okay with him doing different things. Please go back to what you did on Everything Before the Big Day.
We need you.
Yes.
I know you're listening.
I was upset. Chance the Rapper, you definitely are listening. Chance, yes. 79. All right. But yeah, like I think innovation is super important, and I like what Kanye has done with his stuff. I don't listen to him as much as I used to. Yeah. So maybe I'm just not akin to what his innovation is.
Sure.
But I think it does a disservice to somebody, especially in the arts, if they don't go outside of their comfort zones. Like I think, especially in the arts, that's when you need to push the boundaries. Yeah. Because like you're not doing it to be safe. We're not looking for safe music. We're not looking for nursery rhymes. Right. We're looking for the expression. Right. And like if it's not authentic, is it actually expression?
Seriously. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I think, when art becomes a business is where things get tough, right? Yeah. Is that you want to create something that is going to make money, but at the same time, to be true to the art, it needs to be new. Yeah, 100%. It needs to be, the essence of art is that it's building on an idea that's already existent, right? And that you're going to continue it. It's the cutting edge, right? Yeah. Like that's what they say, is that's the very, very front of innovation has to be different, right? Or else it's not innovative, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, really, really, really interesting. I mean, again, I think artists, especially like Kanye, there's a lot of musicians throughout the years that have done stuff like that. Artists the same, where all of a sudden they come out with something completely different. Completely. Right? And they're going to lose a lot of people because a lot of people want things to stay the same. I think that's the weirdest thing with people, is that people want things to stay the same, but they need things to change, right?
People are just so picky with stuff like music, and yeah, you're allowed to be picky because it's your own taste, but it's like you want it to be the exact same with little minor changes. Yeah. And it's like, we're not steering the ship ultimately, like we're just consumers of the art. We're just witnessing. Yes. What? And like, so if you want something different, like, go do your thing, Right. Everyone has, a phone, go record, like, find your ways of doing it. But at the same time, like, if you're just going to be a consumer, then enjoy what's kind of put in front of you. And, I think about like how tough it would be for an artist to release some music and then like it gets like shit on, you know what I mean? Especially when you have like a reputation and a following. Right. Like you feel like someone like Kanye, and he might be a wrong example, but it's so like indestructible. Right. But like, I don't know. I think that he may not have gotten the results. Like from what I've been hearing in my social media, like it didn't do as well as like it was maybe anticipated to do. Sure. But again, like I look back at albums of his, like Jesus, not an album I like, or even 808 and Heartbreak. That's probably the best example from him. I wasn't a huge fan of it when it first came out.
Right.
It is one of my favorite things to listen to now. Because it's just like emotion, it's raw, it's different, you know? So I appreciated that side of Kanye. And like, again.
And I think that's where geniuses like him, I guess it's not like an easy word to throw around, but where they're thinking so far ahead.
Yep.
Right. Where they're like, I know people will like this. Like, that's what I'm saying. Where it's like, you can't always get what you want, but if you try, you can get what you need.
Yeah.
And what you need is change. Yep. And I think that goes for a lot of things, even like in our sober Octobers too, right? It's a way for us to try a new thing.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, how can I integrate this into my life? Because we all know what we should be doing most of the time.
Exactly.
I'm sorry for the people that are out there that don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
But at least, we're trying to get to a point where we know what we don't know.
Yep.
And then we're going to try and reintegrate things, and we're going to try something new, and hence why these months come up, right? And I know we're not going full sober.
Yeah.
And I did it last year, and it was good. It was a nice experience to prove that I could do it.
Yeah.
But like, there was just times where I was like, I'm solely the decider of my fate here.
Yeah.
And like, why am I torturing myself at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Because I feel kind of shitty right now, and all I need to do is smoke a little weed, and I'm going to feel a lot better. That's all it is.
Better.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is like, you're just left with this conflict. And I don't know if people listening might think that that's like some kind of weird dependency thing, but this is like month in, like I'm way past it. It's like everything was fine. Like I wasn't like I could sleep. Like I wasn't having like weird like physiological things or anything, but I was just like, weed is a part of my life where it's like, it just puts a little shine on things. And like, why am I choosing not to make things like more positive and happier and a little bit better? Yeah. It's with an exogenous substance. Yeah. It's with something that you have to smoke, which probably isn't great for your lungs. But at the same time, like we mentioned before, your brain is meant to be modulated. Yep. It's constantly producing chemicals anyway. What's the difference? We're arbitrarily labeling drugs and chemicals good and bad. Yeah. These are innocuous substances, or sorry, not innocuous, but these are inanimate objects, substances that don't have any meaning, don't have any personality. Yep. But we're the ones that are,
labeling it and saying this is illegal and this is not, and this is controlled and this is not, and so no, that definitely. And it's funny, like you look at something like weed specifically becoming like legal, and there's a global push for it to happen. And globally, like I think that's a stretch, because not all places are as liberal in thinking and as ready for change. Yeah. But it's nice to see something like that is having change here. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that are reaping the health benefits of it. There are a lot of people that are reaping the benefits of it that are dealing with like mental health issues that, otherwise these prescription drugs that are gonna, maybe have more dramatic changes psychologically or physiologically to you, when it's just like, here, try this thing. Like, I don't know, I look at it like, I don't have a problem with people smoking weed, especially when I look in the lens of policing. I would much rather go to a house full of people that are baked out of their fucking face than go to a house full of drunks and like, you know what I mean? Like, even like, I'll just leave it there. Right. So it's just handling people, talking to people. I've never really met a person that like they got high and this is weed and wanted to be violent or active or do something other than just like have a good time and relax and just like enjoy, vibe out. Right. Seriously. But like, I've definitely like, I think there's more times that I can count of people being like calm and like okay drunks over than being like, absolutely insane, right? Right. Blackout and just doing whatever their first impulse is, right?
Yeah.
Whether if that's, I want to jump into this pool, all my clothes on, or do whatever. Like,
sure. But I think that's the thing is that, we've gotten to this point in our culture where alcohol use is so accepted.
Yeah.
Even though the realities of it it's one of the worst drugs out there, really.
It's so much. It's terrible. It's poison for you. Right. Like,
it's not really mind opening.
No, it's
in low doses. I guess it's a little bit of a social lubricant, but like in high doses, it can kill you.
Yeah.
Or just make you kill others, right? Or like, you know what I mean?
I personally, I don't really drink. Yeah. Obviously, I'm drinking a White Claw, but I don't drink to like get wasted, drunk or like get blackout. Like,
sure.
First year university, that was the vibe. But like, what is the benefit of like drinking? Yeah. Like, even in policing, there's so many people that are like, I can't wait to go home and have a drink after like a long day. And like that one drink turns into two and they're like, oh, I'm feeling a little tipsy, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And like, for me, that's not like ever a good feeling. Like, feeling a little tipsy doesn't make me feel like good. Right.
Yeah.
But like, if I were to like have a stressful day and like, end of the day and I get home, smoke a joint.
Sure.
Like, one, eases anxiety, gets me like, I don't eat while I'm at work, and sometimes when you get hungry, it passes and it's just gone.
100%.
So a lot of times I have no appetite, and then it helps with that.
Absolutely.
And then sleep. It's like, boom, eat, sleep, I'm happy again. Seriously. Go to sleep after dealing with like 12 hours of just like stress and nonsense. Stress, you know what I mean? So
seriously. And it's not like we're necessarily saying everyone has that same effect, but if it does make you feel like that, and at the same time, if having a drink at the end of the day does make you feel better, then that's great too.
Exactly. That's your thing. Like I said, it's not for me.
Right.
I've seen how destructive drinking is. I've seen friends do a lot of dumb shit. I've done a lot of dumb shit while being drunk.
For sure.
And like, I just know like alcohol tastes gross to me, except for that Moscow Mule.
Hey,
that was actually very good. Shout out to you for that one.
Absolutely.
But just alcohol has so many negative effects. It's like, I'd rather not. I had my time with it. I had a lot of fun. Now I've been drinking more socially, and like, I get it. Like, it's okay. I'm not enjoying the taste. Like, I'm drinking this White Claw. It's probably half full still, and we've been talking for like 2 hours. So
sure.
Like, that's my pace of drinking.
Absolutely.
And again, or not again, but with like my best buddies, like my main dudes, if they want to drink, like, sure, that's a space where it's just like, if you guys are drinking, let's get after it. Like,
100%. I know what you mean.
I have no problem getting blackout with these dudes, because I know it's gonna be good vibes, and I'm never gonna be wandering the street at 2 a.m. by myself. Like, someone's always looking out for somebody. But again, sharing a joint with the fellas, and listening to music and talking and conversing, like, you can still do all those things while drinking, but it then gets to a point where like nothing is actually being like absorbed, and you just like, drunk, and you just like
100%. Like, and I think again that whole basically at the end of the day, I think alcohol is much more acceptable for whatever reason. Same with tobacco, same with other socialization stuff. But I think it comes from, to kind of put a button on everything that we've been kind of saying, is the fact that it exists the way it does exist, because people aren't willing to question it in a certain sense. Because that's how it's just going to be. That's how it's always been.
How it's always been.
We're going to leave it, right? And I think
that's such a dangerous mindset.
Something, that we didn't really touch on too much, but it's something I learned about in a podcast the other day. Mental immunity.
Okay.
So we have like our body's immune system.
Yeah.
We also have like a mental immune system.
Okay.
It works just the same as our body's immune system. Okay. It needs to be exposed to contaminants for it to get stronger.
To get that resistance.
And that's like ideas that we might not agree with. Or ideas that we might deem impure or whatever however we may deem these ideas that we don't want to think about.
Yeah.
If we avoid them, our mental immune system goes down, and then when we are confronted with them and we can't avoid them, we react in a terrible way.
Gotcha.
And I think everyone in society can continue to work on their mental immune system, and that comes from entertaining thoughts in situations and talking to people that may not necessarily completely fit with what your mindset and your ideas and your values are.
Say no to echo chambers.
That's the thing, is that at the end of the day lowers your immune system.
Yeah.
And social media and all that is like junk food for your mental immune system.
Gotcha.
Right? You want books, and you want credible news source, and you want other people to talk to you and provide you new perspectives, and travel.
Yeah.
And all that stuff will only strengthen your mental immune system. And then when you are confronted with an idea, you can sit there mentally strong and talk about it
and critically think through it,
and potentially get to a new and exciting place, because you've now given that a chance, right? And I think a lot of people aren't even giving people's ideas a chance, right? Like, even look at, one of my favorite quotes is, the mark of an intelligent mind is to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. And I think the more and more we can do that, we can put ourselves in other people's shoes. We can understand situations better, where I think we get caught in our own line of thinking, and it's hard to imagine how someone else thinks, because we only really know our own mind.
Yeah.
But in speaking and allowing people to get their point across, and not trying to just, eke out the rhetoric and call them on different, mistakes that they make here and there.
Yeah.
Try and accept it and see where they're coming from. And then we could probably make more headway with any idea that we kind of challenge. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even have anything to add to that, because
I think that's a good way to sum things up, eh?
Yeah, you articulated that perfectly. Like, honestly.
Unreal, man.
But
well, I hate to do this.
No, I gotta ask you those questions.
Okay, hit me some questions.
All
right.
There are a couple. It's a podcast that I've seen, I think, called Crash Dummies podcast.
Okay, cool.
So these guys are very interesting. They do a lot of like would you rathers.
Nice.
So one is you get $1 million for every year in prison you spend. How many years are you gonna do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know, bro.
That's a tough one. I really like this one.
Like real prison?
Nothing super hard, not a max, but like just like the part in jail. Let's say.
Damn, son. Fuck. I'd probably. Man, that's a tough one, right? Because like obviously, the more you do, the more cash you're gonna get.
Yeah, but you might get comfortable in there, not like want to leave, and you're just like, I'm used to this lifestyle, dog.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm institutionalized.
Yeah.
I'd probably just go with a year, because I could do $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think I could do a year without too much lasting damage.
Yeah, you can stretch that $1 million. Yeah, I'm the exact same. One year. That's all I got.
Again, thinking like, even if I said like 5, like 5 years is nuts, man.
That's a long time, man.
Have you ever seen the movie Felon?
No.
With I think Guy Pearce is one of the dudes, and then Val Kilmer's in it.
Okay.
But it's about this guy, literally like construction business owner, normal dude. Some guy seemingly is like trying to break into his house. And then he like chases him away with a bat, and the guy's like reaching for something, and the guy thought he was reaching for like a weapon, goes to swing, the guy stumbles, he hits him in the head, kills him. The guy was just reaching for his wallet. Killed him on his the guy took like 2 steps off his own property, so he killed him off his property. Like, so the guy goes to like real jail, and then like gets in a fight in jail, and then they put him in like a deep, like he gets in this like crazy supermax, where they're doing like a fight club with the prisoners. Like the guards are like pinning fucking prisoners together. That's inmates. Wild. So it's one of those movies though where it like starts like, oh yeah, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Like you just get into a situation and like he had to defend himself, and then it's like. Right.
Yeah. No.
So anyway, I would probably just do 1 year.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree. 1 year, I think is my max. I think I could make $1 million stretch.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I
invest.
I don't know, like even if $1 million is worth a year in jail.
That's what I'm saying. I was considering taking like 500,000.
Yeah.
For 6 months.
You know what? Like the only upside is like if I do that year, let's say it's like this year leading up to the wedding, it's like I can get super like jacked. Like I can just work out,
just prison squats. And
yeah,
shit.
man. Maybe read some books and like
for real.
Get in like
you might be able to use some of that mill to like pay off people. It's to, like don't kill me.
Yeah,
like, fuck with me.
But like you're never gonna worry about like why you're in prison. So like that mill is gonna be your mill. Like
sure.
But while you're in prison,
I mean like the people in there like that might test me.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I'm getting a mill at the end of this. Just make sure I get to the year.
I don't know, man. I'm a pretty big dude. Like I think I can.
Once you're out, you don't have to pay them shit because they're still in there.
You're smart. You're right. That's exactly what it is. Hey, man, I will give you $100,000 if you protect me for the year. Gone.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. The other one, I might have to pull this up out of my phone, but okay. There are 200 unarmed fifth graders. Okay. So 13 years old.
Yep.
Would you rather have 1,000 ducks that you could command and they do whatever you say,
right?
Or 2 lions?
How many fifth graders?
200 unarmed, and they're trying to kill you.
Right.
So you can't even like try to like, hey guys,
but
like
1,000 ducks?
1,000 ducks or 2 lions?
And I can get the ducks to do whatever.
Coordinate attacks, everything.
I think I might take the ducks because
you think so?
It's overwhelming in number.
So mind you, I believe if I do the math properly, it's like 3.5 ducks per like kid.
Sure.
You think 3.5 is enough to stop like
200 to 1,000?
Yeah.
It's like 5 ducks per person, isn't it?
Oh, maybe they have the numbers wrong. Let me pull this up while we're thinking about it.
But still, even 5 ducks ain't that much.
It really isn't. Yeah.
But ducks are tenacious, bro.
Ducks are very tenacious.
Yeah.
Okay.
But 2 lions, I feel, could potentially be overwhelmed by 200 kids.
Yeah.
Because they could jump on that lion, maybe.
A lion, man, that thing will probably like claw away at the first like
start clawing.
50. Like I think they could take 50. I don't know if a fifth grader has enough like stopping power to like seriously impact the lion.
Sure.
Like they might be throwing punches and kicks. Like mind you, they're unarmed. Mm-hmm. So like could 200 adults take out one lion?
I don't know, but I'm thinking if they like pile on it, maybe. Like,
but then
100 per?
100 per? Yeah, I don't know. But like piling on
100 kids per is a lot.
But would these 100 still kids be able to kill the lion? Because ultimately, that's what they're going to have to do to get to me.
Yeah, they have to kill it.
Could 100 kids kill a lion?
It out, maybe.
You think so?
Or like break its back or something?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe if they're motivated enough and they get coordinated, they could do something. But
that's the thing.
I think I'm taking because I'm still here too.
Because I'm always worried about numbers. I've always been concerned about numbers.
Yeah, numbers is tough.
I'm always like I could probably take on a few people, but there's a tipping point.
Okay, so I have another. So give me your final answer on what you think. I'll give you mine. Then
I'm taking the ducks.
I think I'm taking the lions in this one because I think they could do a lot of damage. And
I like it,
but I like the coordinated attack with the ducks. Okay, so you yourself,
yes,
with the baseball bat.
Okay.
How many fifth graders with helmets do you think you could take out before you get overwhelmed? So you're a big dude.
Take him out, like kill him?
No, like it's not to knock him out. It's not like so they can't keep on coming at you.
Right.
Like there's gonna get a point where you're gonna get overwhelmed. Like,
of course.
But like, how many do you think in that wave? Yeah, you're literally just like Babe Ruth in a Dear Vladdy, just swinging
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll tell you, I
was overwhelmed before I started feeling bad.
You won't feel bad because they're trying to kill you.
100%. Right. Bro.
I just put them
honestly,
asleep.
I feel like it would be a sadly low number in reality.
Yeah.
Like before, are they coming at me from every angle, or am I like in a corridor? Is it like 300?
It's like wave defense. Like if you've ever played any wave games, like maybe it's like gonna be 2 at a time, then 2, then maybe it gets harder and gets like 4,
like zombies.
Basically? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Fuck, bro. Like 150.
That's a great number. Because I've never really thought about what my number would be, and I'm thinking with a bat, like. It's honestly as long as my shoulder like stays like not tired, right?
No fatigue. Like that's the thing is I feel like fatigue would start to set in.
Yeah.
But like It's like
it's life or death.
It's like reps at 225.
Yeah.
Like the first won't even count.
Yeah.
So you're gonna just probably do 50.
Yeah, get those out of the way
before you even fucking figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, they're still coming.
I gotta live. It's me or them.
And then by like 125, you're like, fuck, my shoulders fucked.
Yeah.
Then or like the bat's kind of getting busted.
Yeah, they got helmets.
They got helmets.
Yeah.
And you're trying to fucking hit him in the head.
But if that thing gets sharp, you can just try to like
stabbing.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. But at a point,
that's not as much. You don't get as much.
And we don't want to kill these kids. We just want to like knock them out so they don't get us. But,
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Another 150. Did you ever stop on a number?
I'm gonna just agree with 150. I think I could get to 150 swings, like solid contact swings.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Final question, because we'll catch up on another one too. But final question.
Okay. Would you rather spend 10 years in a coma or 5 years on a like deserted island?
Fully aware. Yeah. Awake, obviously, on the desert island.
10 years is a long time to lose. Like,
but 5 on the desert, right?
Yeah.
So could be 10 sleeping or losing 5 on the island.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this is an easier one, but
I know what you mean though.
Like it's tough.
But desert island is no necessarily guaranteed that you're gonna make it off the island. Or
let's say you would make that guarantee. Okay. You're guaranteed to make it off and return to your normal life.
I like to think that I'm usually pretty good with being alone.
Yeah.
But I feel if I was like awake, I would start to freak out eventually.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, have you seen
Loneliness?
Castaway?
Yeah, I've not seen, but like Wilson.
So good.
Wilson. Like,
yeah, that whole thing. I think he spends almost 5 years on the island. I think
Terrible.
It's like 4 years. Yeah, craziness. He's also always trying to get home too, which is another thing. At least at the end of my 5 years, I know I'm going home.
You're going home for sure.
So that might be a little bit of a comfort.
Yeah.
And I guess it also would depend on what I have. Like, is it pure desert? Like I crashed there and I have to figure it out, or do I get to bring a couple shit?
You're not going to be thriving, but you have enough to survive, and you could make it so you can build a camp and like you could survive these 5 years. Right. Like there's enough food on the island that you don't have to be like vegetarian. Like maybe it's like what's that book we all have to read when we're kids? Game of Flies.
Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
They kill the pigs
with
and
Piggy.
Shit like that. Yeah.
Poor kid.
Yeah. Because they kill the kid, don't they?
They kill a kid named Piggy, but they eat pigs too.
Okay.
There's pigs on the island.
There's pigs on the island.
They end up like turning on all each other because they're just like turned into savages.
They're a bunch of kids that didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
But so
I think at the end of the day I gotta go desert island, because 10 years is a lot to lose. If we say let's ponder 5 years in a coma versus 5 years on the desert island, I might choose the coma.
And I think that's easy. You go to sleep, you wake up.
That's the thing.
You know,
you might. The problem is though, which I fear about the coma, is what if in that coma 5 years doesn't feel like 5 years? What if 5 years feels like 100,000 years? Right? Because like, you know, in your dream, you know, time is weird. Like, what if that's the
fucking
shit?
Dream? Like, think about how long dreams feel like on the regular night. Like, you feel like you might live in years in your dreams.
Right.
Now imagine if that 8 hours.
I knew a guy that smoked a hit of salvia and lived a whole other life for months. He lived a life. He had friends and family. He quit his job, and then he came back.
Wait. In a dream or in like
in his vision, in his high state on salvia.
Years and like
months. It wasn't necessary. Like, that's another thing too. But his specific trip was like months, and it was only probably 15 minutes in real life.
Yeah. Wow.
Like DMT trips are like that too, right?
I heard that, like,
because their duration are about 15 to 20.
Yeah.
But to the user, it might feel like an eternity.
Yeah, like that's my own experience from hearing about this stuff is like Joe Rogan's podcast and him talking about it. But
right.
Yeah,
and that's the thing with most psychedelics. We've mentioned this on the podcast before, but a lot of psychedelics do mess with time, and a lot of people freak out because they think it's going to be like that forever, and they don't have someone to tell them it's going to be okay. Yeah. It's only a couple more hours or whatever.
Yeah,
they just continue to like spiral out.
Yeah.
And like that's always the biggest thing. I mean, like even smoking weed sometimes it makes things like sometimes time goes shorter, sometimes time goes longer, right? So that's what if I'm thinking would trip me out about the coma.
Yeah,
because
I guess we don't know.
Or you could be like living in some kind of dream world too, which is actually fun.
That Black Mirror
episode.
And
you're safe.
You're out of the Matrix.
That's the thing. And at least you're safe and you're there and you're gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
Right. But like I said, if it's 10 years in the coma versus 5 on the desert, I think I'd tough it out and do the desert island.
Yeah, I'm a wimp. I'm sleeping.
Shit, eh?
Yeah, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping.
Do you like any outdoor shit? Like, would you go camping?
And I think that's a part of it. Yeah, I think you got into the deeper question here. Sure. No, I don't.
Right.
I hate mosquitoes. I get fucked by mosquitoes every year.
Too.
I think I'm allergic because the way I swell up is crazy.
Bad.
Yeah, they're like toonie size.
Damn.
Yeah. So.
True.
And just like outdoorsy, I can't swim, but like funny enough, I love being on the kayak. Like I was just at a cottage. I know we're wrapping up, but I was at a cottage 2 weekends ago.
Unreal.
And I found myself just constantly wanting to be on the kayak. So
cool.
like I plan to learn how to swim. I've made efforts, and you know, if anyone out there can teach me how to swim, I've tried to learn how to swim for like 5 years.
Cool.
And
I used to swim competitively, so I can teach you.
We'll definitely have to chat.
All right.
Next summer.
We'll go to a pool.
Oh yeah, in the winter we can go to
pools,
YMCA
we'll go to
like that. Oh yeah, we go to Mac.
We'll go to that fucking bromine soup.
Yummy.
I used to swim there when I was swimming competitively, and it was like your skin would be all fucked up.
Yeah.
They didn't use chlorine.
No.
They used bromine. It's very similar, but just like a slightly different chemical. And it was like a weird. Sometimes they would put too much in.
Okay.
And like sometimes they wouldn't put enough in, and like you could go and like write your name in the algae in the bottom.
No way.
So it was like a really like it's slightly supposed to be less harmful to you than chlorine.
Gotcha.
But it was a weird vibe.
So algae still grows in pools?
If there's not enough, that's why there's chlorine in it. If there's not enough juice in it, it'll grow.
I literally thought algae was just like in the ocean and shit like that.
It's just like a waterborne microorganism. But that's why you put chlorine is to kill it. Yeah.
We're just murderers. That's all humans are.
Constantly, we want it. We want
kill
that clear water. We'll do whatever it takes.
Exactly. Yeah,
anyway, brother, I'm so happy you came on.
Thank you, my friend. This was awesome.
Absolutely, for sure.
Awesome.
Like we said, you know, I think everyone needs to work on their mental immunity.
Yeah.
Get out there, expose yourself to new ideas, expose yourself to new experiences 100%. Like you did on the kayak.
Yep. Say no to echo chambers.
That's right.
Please.
And be aware of confirmation bias and everything that exists, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, can't wait to have you back on as soon as we can.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait to be back.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm glad to have you in the studio, and we'll keep at it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining in. If you want to shout out anybody or shout out, you know, where people can fucking look at you.
Instagram is Germs.
That's the man.
JERRMZZ __ whatever. Figure it out. You'll figure it out.
~R_Z_.
I have no idea.
That's right.
Whatever. Shout out Jen, fiance. Always have to shout out the fee. And shout out Big Mark. Definitely shout out Bigmark.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thanks for having me. This
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right on.
All right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Again, like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Rate the podcast if you can. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out on the Patreon at patreon.com/thebigmarkpodcast. Thank you, everyone. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.